Chapter 1437. He placed the box in front of Chen Ning and said with a sincere expression, "The Empress' kindness to this humble one, how can this gift be enough to repay you? This gift really isn't worth mentioning. It's just a treasure sword for a hero and a beauty for a beauty. This gift was specially prepared by me for the Empress. I asked the Empress to accept it." "Oh, then let me see what it is." When Chen Ning heard this, she was filled with curiosity. She reached out and took it. She gently pushed the lid open and the box opened. Inside the brocade box was an exquisitely carved pure silver phoenix hairpin. The phoenix was carved so vividly that it seemed to be alive. When the sun shone on it, it shone brightly, and its brilliance flowed. It was incomparably resplendent. TSK, I thought it was some kind of treasure. So it's just a silver hairpin. It's pretty, but it's not worth much. A dignified envoy from Northern Qi actually gave our Empress such a shabby thing. The Northern Qi kingdom is so rich, yet they only gave the Empress a silver hairpin. Do they still place our West Chu in their eyes? When the surrounding people saw the silver hairpin, they couldn't help but look at the Northern Qi envoy with disdain. "Humph, you still say the Empress is kind to you, yet you give her such a worthless thing to repay her. How stingy." Chen Ning's face didn't show any disdain. This silver hairpin was exquisitely made and she liked it very much. It was more to her liking than the exquisite and complicated jewelry in the palace. "This hairpin is very pretty. Many thanks to the envoy." The one who spoke was Mo Chuan. He took out the silver hairpin from the box and placed it in Chen Ning's hair. The Northern Qi envoy was overjoyed. He smiled and said, "Many thanks to the Emperor. Many thanks to the Empress." Xiao Ru, who was standing to the side, couldn't help but laugh. She thought that this envoy was really interesting. He was the one who gave the young miss a gift, so it should be the young miss thanking him. But he kept thanking her, as if the young miss accepting his gift was giving him a lot of face. After the Northern Qi envoy gave the gift, he said his goodbyes to the two of them. He had no more worries in his heart. Under the escort of the envoy, the group of people left the city and headed north. Mo Chuan and Chen Ning stood side by side on the city wall to send them off. They watched as the group went further and further away until they disappeared. "Ning, let's go back. The wind is strong here, so be careful of catching a cold." Mo Chuan held her hand. He felt that the back of her hand was slightly cold as he said this. Chen Ning kept looking in the direction of the Northern Qi envoy. She seemed to be deep in thought. Hearing Mo Chuan's words, she turned her head. "Mo Chuan, you didn't notice. Mo Chuan, you didn't notice. There's a little attendant beside the messenger, and he's been sneaking glances at you. Along the way, he's even turned his head back 3 times from the horse's back, only to look at you. Does he know you?" Of him. I didn't pay attention." Mo Chuan thought back, but he didn't have any impression at all. Chen Ning didn't pay attention to him at first because Mo Chuan's appearance was outstanding and he was an emperor. No matter where he went, he would be the focus of everyone's attention. Which one of the Northern Qi envoys didn't look at him? However, the attendant kept walking far away and kept turning back. This was a little strange. She tried hard to recall the young attendant's appearance in her mind, but it was very blurry. Chapter 1438. Chen Ning had a photographic memory, but she only remembered that this attendant had always been by the Northern Qi envoy's side. She had seen him at the guest house, but she didn't have much of an impression of this small and thin attendant who never spoke. The only thing she remembered was that when she found the missing 5 repeating crossbow blueprints, everyone present had a look of shock on their faces. That attendant had also raised his head and glanced at him. She remembered now. He wasn't very old, only about 15 or 16 years old. He had a very delicate face and a pair of large black and white eyes. He had only glanced at her once before quickly lowering his head. At the time, she hadn't looked at this little attendant again. If she hadn't seen him turn his head 3 times, she wouldn't have thought of this person at all. It's just an attendant, yet you're still so concerned about him. I've already seen that the people that the Northern Qi envoy brought this time don't have any martial arts experts. In terms of martial arts, none of them are even half as good as Xue Feng. Don't worry, he definitely isn't an assassin sent by Zixiao Pavilion. Mo Chuan saw that her eyes were still looking to the north with a thoughtful expression, so he spoke to dispel the doubts in her heart. Chen Ning gave a faint smile. What Mo Chuan cared about was different from what she cared about. He only cared about the other's martial arts, but what she was thinking about was completely different. She didn't suspect that the attendant was an assassin in disguise, otherwise he wouldn't have escaped Mo Chuan's eyes. However, no matter what the attendant's identity was, whether it was a real attendant or a fake one, he had already left with the Northern Qi envoy. Thinking about this right now was a bit groundless. I know, let's go back to the palace. She and Mo Chuan walked down the tower side by side and boarded the sedan back to the palace. The sedan that the two of them were in had just arrived in front of the palace when they suddenly heard the rapid sound of horse hooves coming from the palace gates. Chen Ning lifted the curtain of the sedan and looked in the direction of the sound. She saw a group of imperial guards riding horses, quickly rushing out of the palace. Everyone had a panicked expression on their faces, as if something big had happened. The commander of the imperial guards in front saw Mo Chuan and Chen Ning's sedan and immediately fell off his horse, kneeling on the ground. Reporting to the emperor, something bad has happened. Mo Chuan was shocked and said in a deep voice, "What happened? Is the Empress Dowager well?" His first thought was that something had happened to Empress Dowager. What he was worried about the most was that the Purple Heaven Pavilion assassins had taken advantage of this and injured Empress Dowager. The commander of the Imperial Guards was stunned and immediately replied, "The Empress Dowager is well, yes, yes." His face was filled with panic as he looked up at Mo Chuan, wanting to say something but hesitating. Mo Chuan knit his brows and shouted, "Quickly speak, what happened?" The royal army commander lowered his head and replied, "Emperor, King Ding Yuan has escaped from prison." What? Mo Chuan and Chen Ning were both shocked, almost not daring to believe their ears. "You're saying Chu Xiaoyang escaped from prison? When did this happen?" Mo Chuan calmed himself down and asked. Chapter 1439. An hour ago. Mo Chuan couldn't help knitting his brows. That was the time the Northern Qi envoys left. Chu Xiaoyang didn't break out earlier or later, but chose to break out at this time. What was his goal? "Come, let's go to the celestial prison." With a wave of his sleeve, he led the way. The celestial prison that imprisoned Chu Xiaoyang was not the same place as the one the Ministry of Justice used to imprison criminals. This celestial prison was located outside the palace, next to the cold palace. Normal members of the royal family would be imprisoned here if they made a mistake. The security was even stricter than the Ministry of Justice's celestial prison, but the conditions inside the celestial prison were much better than normal prisons. The walls of Chu Xiaoyang's cell were made of very thick granite and there was a large window at the top of the cell. The sunlight shined in through the window, making the entire cell very bright. It did not give off the dark and damp feeling of a normal cell. The bedding on the bed was very clean and it felt very dry to the touch. At first glance, this did not seem like a cell, but rather a quiet room for cultivating one's mind. The difference between this and a quiet room was that it did not have a door. It was surrounded by 3 stone walls and on the other side was an iron fence as thick as a child's arm. There was a heavy iron lock on it. Now that the iron lock had been twisted, falling to the ground. The iron door was wide open and the room was empty. Chu Xiaoyang, who was locked in the room, was nowhere to be seen. There was only Chu Xiaoyang locked up in the heavenly prison. There were several dozen guards, but all of them were heavily injured and the doctors were busy treating them. Seeing Mo Chuan and Qin Ning arrive, the guards did not care about their injuries. As long as they could move, they all knelt down and kowtowed, pleading guilty. Their hearts were filled with panic. They were not good enough and had allowed a prisoner to escape. This was a capital crime, enough to exterminate their entire family. Mo Chuan gently pressed down on the chest of an injured guard and the guard immediately revealed a pained expression. He gritted his teeth and endured it, not letting out a cry of pain. That's right, it was Chu Xiaoyang's great guardian deity palm. Mo Chuan revealed a serious expression. He had tested it just now and found out that the guard had 3 broken ribs and had suffered heavy internal injuries. This strong and fierce palm was a secret art that Chu Xiaoyang practiced, called the Great Guardian Deity Palm. This Great Guardian Deity Palm was a secret art of the Chu family. It was very strong and it was very strong. Although Mo Chuan had practiced it before, his cultivation in this secret art was not as deep as Chu Xiaoyang's. He took out a medicine bottle from his chest and threw it to the guard. He simply said, take it, and take it. It will be fine in 3 days. This was the most effective medicine for treating the great guardian deity. The guard was extremely grateful. He prostrated himself on the ground and kowtowed repeatedly. Mo Chuan examined several dozen injured guards and found that they were all injured by the great golden palm. His brows knit together and he called the doctor over, reading the prescription for the great golden palm over. The imperial physician was pleasantly surprised and committed it to memory. They weren't good at treating internal injuries, so they were at their wits' end. Suddenly hearing the emperor personally tell them the prescription, all of them became spirited. Xiao Si, write down the names of all the injured and have the internal affairs treasury give each of them 500 silver coins as compensation. Mo Chuan then gave orders to Xiao Si. Chapter 1440. These guards were originally dispirited and filled with fear and terror after releasing a serious prisoner from the heavenly prison and being severely injured. However, they never expected that not only did the emperor not issue an imperial edict to punish them, he even personally bestowed them good medicine and issued an imperial edict to commend them. This made everyone unable to believe their ears. They were overjoyed and couldn't blame their injuries for worsening. Only then would they be able to live up to the emperor's deep kindness. Mo Chuan walked in front of Chu Xiaoyang's cell and his eyes fell onto the iron lock on the ground. Xiao Si was very clever. He immediately bent down to pick it up and gave it to Mo Chuan. Zi, King Ding Yuan's fingers are so strong. Emperor, look at this lock. It was actually bent by King Ding Yuan's fingers. He couldn't help smacking his lips. The iron lock was made of fine iron and was very strong, but there were several deep fingerprints left on it. Mo Chuan's expression became even more serious. He held the heavy iron lock and did not say a word. Although Qin Ning did not have any internal energy, she knew that Chu Xiaoyang's cultivation must be very high to be able to bend this lock with just the strength of his fingers. Mo Chuan, can you do it? She asked in a soft voice. Mo Chuan shook his head and said, I can't do it. After pausing for a bit, he then said, I never thought that his cultivation would soar and reach this step. This iron lock, with his previous cultivation, he would not have been able to break it no matter what. He gave the iron lock to Xiao Si and walked into the cell, looking around. Qin Ning followed him in and found that Mo Chuan was staring right at the wall. She followed his gaze. She saw that there was a deep palm print on the stone wall and she couldn't help taking in a cold breath. Xiao Si let out a surprised cry. Such a powerful golden strength palm. He blurted out. Mo Chuan's face was as calm as water. He slowly reached out with his right palm and pressed it against the palm print. After a while, he took his hand back and said in a low voice, he succeeded, he actually succeeded. The stone wall was made of thick and heavy granite stones. It was almost unthinkable to leave a mark on this incomparably hard stone wall with flesh and blood. But Chu Xiaoyang's palm was very strong. It was not something that could be done with flesh and blood. No wonder even Mo Chuan couldn't help being surprised. What does he mean by leaving a palm print here? Is he trying to show off to the emperor? Xiao Si stared at the palm print and felt a chill run down his spine. Even the gaps between his teeth felt cold. Mo Chuan gave a cold laugh. Does he think that after learning the golden strength palm, he is invincible in this world? No wonder he was able to escape from prison. It turns out that he had nothing to fear. With the mighty Vajra palm, he indeed has the qualifications to bark at me. Mo Chuan, the golden strength palm is a very powerful martial art. She had heard Mo Chuan mention this martial art several times. Especially after seeing the palm prints and finger marks left by Chu Xiaoyang on the stone wall and the iron lock, she did not dare underestimate this martial art. Chapter 1441. Previous Emperor. The previous emperor you're talking about, is he Chu Xiaoyang's father? Chen Ning asked. Mo Chuan nodded again and looked over the people outside the cell. He was not willing to talk about the past and only said, Chu Xiaoyang has mastered the great golden strength palm. If he escapes from prison, perhaps he will harm you. Before he finished speaking, his ears suddenly twitched as he heard a flurry of hurried footsteps. Emperor, this is bad. This is bad. The royal army commander charged into the prison and ran out of the cell in one breath, bowing down to Mo Chuan. Reporting to the emperor, this subordinate has just received news. King Ding Yuan, he escaped to the royal study and injured Zhui Feng. He has already escaped and no one knows where he went. He reported while panting. What? His words were like a bomb, causing everyone in the room to be dumbfounded. Mo Chuan was the first to react. He had a calm expression as he grabbed Qin Ning's hand. Without saying a word, he left the prison and ran in the direction of the royal study. The commander of the royal guards and little four hurriedly followed. The emperor doesn't need to be too worried. Zhui Feng is only heavily injured, his life should be fine. The royal army commander added while running. Mo Chuan did not turn around, but his expression was very heavy. With these things happening one after another, he could not imagine what other incredible things Chu Xiaoyang would do next. Immediately send a group of people to guard the peaceful life palace. If you see Chu Xiaoyang, do not show mercy. He ordered in a cold voice. Yes, Your Majesty. The commander of the Imperial Guards answered loudly, turned around, and ran away. Chen Ning was carried by Mo Chuan as they ran, the wind whistling in her ears. Her heart was in a mess and she could not think clearly. Chu Xiaoyang actually broke out of prison. He even injured Zhui Feng. What did he want to do? Why did he want to break out of prison? If he wanted to kill someone to vent his anger and find Mo Chuan or her for revenge, he would know that Mo Chuan and she were not in the palace right now. Even if he didn't know, the palace was so big, so why did he appear in the royal study? What was his goal? Doubts piled up in her heart one after another. When they arrived at the royal study, they saw a shocking scene. It was even more miserable than the prison. The two doors of the imperial study had already been sent flying, and there was a deep palm print on each door. The palace guards in the courtyard were all sprawled on the ground, and there were quite a few hidden guards who were in charge of keeping watch. Everyone had a painful expression. Some were loudly groaning, some were spitting out blood, and some were unconscious. Among them, Zhui Feng's injuries were the heaviest. He spat out blood from the corner of his mouth as he fell in the center of the royal study. His eyes were closed and he was already unconscious, but his hand was tightly holding onto a wooden box, not willing to let go. The clothes on his body were tattered and there was a blood-red palm print on his chest. It could be imagined just how intense the life and death battle he had with Chu Xiaoyang was. Mo Chuan shot over and helped Shui Feng up. He took his pulse and found that his pulse was still beating, but it was slow at times. It was clear that he had suffered a heavy internal injury. Chapter 1442. When Xiao Ru saw this, she was already stunned like a wooden person. Especially when she saw Shui Feng's miserable state, she couldn't help crying. She couldn't say why she was crying, she just felt sad. She was worried that Shui Feng would die like this. Yes, young miss. I'll immediately go find the ancient divine doctor. Xiao Ru wiped her tears and then quickly ran out. Chen Ning's eyes flashed. She thought of the mysterious assassin from the Purple Heaven Pavilion and the missing Chu Xiaoyang. She immediately said to an imperial guard beside her, "Immediately bring a group of imperial guards and send Xiao Ru away." That imperial guard loudly said, "This subordinate will follow your orders." He picked a group of imperial guards to escort Xiao Ru away. Chen Ning walked beside Mo Chuan and said in a soft voice, "How are Shui Feng's injuries?" "As long as he still has a breath left, my master can definitely save him." Mo Chuan's face turned livid as he nodded and said, "He was also hit by Chu Xiaoyang's great golden palm, but his injuries are much heavier than others. Chu Xiaoyang used 120% of his strength when he hit his chest, so his 5 viscera and 6 bowels are all heavily injured. Although I have medicine for the great golden palm, it can only heal his external injuries. As for his internal injuries, I'll need your master to do it." He placed his right palm on Shui Feng's back and slowly sent a strand of internal energy into his body. After a while, Shui Feng's body slightly moved and he slowly opened his eyes. His face instantly revealed an excited expression. He struggled to kneel down, but he found that his body had no strength at all. He couldn't even move his pinky finger. "Emperor, this subordinate did not do a good job, I'm sorry Emperor." The matter the Emperor ordered this subordinate to do, this subordinate couldn't protect the things in the box. King Ding Yuan. He stole it. He spoke in a broken voice. He used all the strength in his body to lift up the wooden box in his hand. The wooden box was completely empty. Mo Chuan and Chen Ning's hearts trembled. They knew what was inside the wooden box, it was the blueprint for the 20 crossbows. "You're saying that Chu Xiaoyang broke into the royal study and stole the things in the box?" Because he was too shocked and excited, even Mo Chuan found it hard to keep his voice calm. Shui Feng closed his eyes and forcefully nodded. "It's all because this subordinate is useless. This subordinate did not complete the task the Emperor gave me. Emperor, please heavily punish this subordinate." Shui Feng was filled with shame and guilt, causing his injuries to worsen. He spat out a large mouthful of blood. Then he fell back and fainted again. The wooden box in his hand fell to the ground with a sound. Shui Feng. Chen Ning was shocked. She quickly placed her hand on his pulse and found that it was still slowly beating. His injuries were too heavy and he was too excited, so he fainted. Mo Chuan's chin tightened and he didn't say a word. He walked in front of the bookshelf where the drawings were placed and used a special technique to push open the secret compartment. The secret compartment opened and there was nothing inside. He Feng Chen Zhe Feng and T Feng Chen Chen's this. The location of this secret compartment was very secretive. Only a few people in the royal family knew about its mechanism and how to open it. Chu Xiaoyang was one of those people. Chapter 1443. Chen Ning never would have thought that Chu Xiaoyang would break into the royal study and steal the crossbow blueprints. Xiao Si, immediately send the order. Have the imperial army and the palace guards leave the palace and seal off the city. Even if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground, you have to capture Chu Xiaoyang for me. No matter what, you can't let him leave the city. He loudly ordered. Yes, Emperor. Xiao Si was prepared to leave when Imo Chuan quickly picked up a pen and wrote down an imperial edict. He stamped it with a jade seal and placed it in Xiao Si's hands. Take this imperial edict. If Chu Xiaoyang dares to disobey, then kill him, he said in a voice filled with killing intent. Yes, Emperor. Xiao Si gave a shiver as he replied. He held the imperial edict and flew out of the palace to send the order. At this time, the imperial physicians heard the news and rushed over. They treated the injured people and applied medicine. All of them were extremely busy. Mo Chuan returned to Zhui Feng's side and continued to send his internal energy into his body. Because Zhui Feng's injuries were too heavy, he was worried that Zhui Feng wouldn't be able to last until Gu Qingzhou arrived, so he couldn't stop his true qi no matter what. After sending in his internal energy, Zhui Feng woke up again and slowly opened his eyes. Mo Chuan did not stop. Zhui Feng felt a warm true qi enter his body from his back and spread to his limbs. It made his entire body feel warm and the injury on his chest no longer hurt that much. He was grateful, ashamed, and filled with an indescribable guilt. After struggling a bit, he shouted, Emperor, you can't. You can't. Don't waste any more internal energy for this subordinate. Mo Chuan coldly said, Shut up. Zhui Feng refused to shut up. He knew how important internal energy was to people who practice martial arts and it took a long time to increase it by a bit. If Mo Chuan kept sending an internal energy like this, it would consume a large amount of his true qi. Emperor, you have a golden jade body, this subordinate. How can this subordinate? He was so excited that his body began to tremble. He wanted to struggle up, but his body was weak and he couldn't move at all. If you keep talking, be careful that your body explodes and you die. Mo Chuan released internal energy from his palm. Zhui Feng felt an overwhelming amount of internal energy surge out and he didn't dare say anything else. He could only close his mouth and guide the internal energy into his dantian. He could feel the warm energy in his dantian. He finally realized that although his injuries were heavy, he didn't lose any internal energy. Being stimulated by Mo Chuan's internal energy, it began to flow through his body. Your Majesty, this subordinate already feels much better. Your Majesty, please don't waste any more energy on this subordinate. Mo Chuan could hear that he was full of energy, no longer looking like he was on the verge of death. At this time, he also felt that the true qi in his body had been used up and he couldn't continue, so he pulled back his palm and threw 2 pills into his mouth. He sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes. Zhui Feng knew that he was cultivating, so they didn't bother him. Wind-chasing wolf also slowly closed his eyes and guided the flow of true qi in his body to heal his injuries. Chen Ning stood up and walked around the room. She walked in front of the bookcase and remembered that Mo Chuan had placed the 20 crossbow blueprints in the secret compartment. But no matter how she looked, she couldn't find the secret compartment. She used her hand to push the bookcase, but there was no movement at all. It's here. Chapter 1444. Mo Chuan, have you rested enough? Chen Ning turned around and saw that Mo Chuan was already standing behind her. His eyes were already filled with energy. Mo Chuan nodded and his right hand reached into the hidden compartment. When he pulled his hand back, there was an extra scroll in his palm. He placed the scroll into his chest and pushed it back into the hidden compartment. The bookcase returned to its original state. Chen Ning saw that he didn't say anything, so she didn't ask what it was. Young miss. The divine Dr. Gu is here. Xiao Ru's voice came from behind her. She turned around and saw Xiao Ru carrying Gu Qingz's medicine box. Her little face was red and there were beads of sweat on her forehead as she ran over while panting. Zhui Feng. How is Zhui Feng? Is he dead? Xiao Ru saw Zhui Feng lying on the ground with blood on the corner of his mouth. His face was pale and his eyes were closed, not moving at all. Her heart jumped into her throat and her voice became choked with sobs. He's not dead, but if you curse him again, perhaps he'll be cursed to death by you. Chen-Ning pinched her cheeks and looked at Gu Qingze. She called out, Master. Gu Qingze had a drowsy look on his face. It was clear that he had been woken up in his sleep and then rushed into the palace, not having time to sit in his chair. He had been in a hurry the entire time and his clothes were not as neat as usual. Seeing this in Chen-Ning's eyes, she felt touched. With Gu Qingze's personality, even if the sky fell down, he wouldn't care. He hated being woken up when he was sleeping, but when she called him, he immediately rushed over. This kindness, she would firmly remember it in her heart. What happened here? Did an assassin come? Gu Qingze knit his brows and looked at Chen-Ning. His eyes were filled with deep concern. Chen girl, are you injured? Chen-Ning shook her head. I'm not injured, it's Shui Feng who is heavily injured. Shui Feng. The concern in Gu Qingze's eyes immediately disappeared and his face became indifferent once again. That brat won't die, he said in a soft voice. Divine Dr. Gu, please save him. You have to save him. Xiaoru anxiously pulled on his sleeve and begged. Her large eyes were filled with tears. She hated Shui Feng as soon as she saw him, but seeing Shui Feng lying on the ground, it was unknown if he was dead or alive. Her heart was filled with pain like it was being grabbed by a large invisible hand, making it hard for her to breathe. Didn't you not like seeing him? Now that he's dead, you'll have peace and quiet. In the future, there will be one less person you hate in this world. Why are you crying? Xiaoru was stunned and she looked at Xiaoru in a daze. Xiaoru. I hate Xiao. Feng, I hate Ning, Feng, Ji. Just a day ago, she had been gnashing her teeth in hatred towards Shui Feng. Because Shui Feng had saved her, she had personally embroidered a pouch for him to express her gratitude, but he had mercilessly rejected her. When she thought of this matter, her heart felt like it was being blocked by a large piece of cotton. Whenever Shui Feng was mentioned, she would feel hatred. She had even sworn that she would never see Shui Feng again in this life. Chapter 1445. Gu Qingze didn't care about Xiaoru anymore. He walked over to Shui Feng's side and took his pulse. Looking at his complexion, his originally indifferent face became even more indifferent. He took out a porcelain bottle from his chest and threw it to Xiaoru. Give it to him and he'll be as lively as a dragon in a day. After he said this, he looked over the injured people on the ground. Then he turned around and stared at Chen-Ning. Shin girl, next time if you disturb Master's sweet dreams because of such trifling matters, Master will expel you from the sect. As soon as he said this, he realized something was wrong. He fiercely added, expelling you is letting you off too lightly. This Master will punish you to study in the godly Dr. Valley for another 3 years. If you can't learn medicine, you will never be able to take a single step out of the godly Dr. Valley. He turned around and walked away without looking back. He didn't even look at the people around him. Chen-Ning made a face at his back. She knew that his words and actions meant that the injuries of the people here were not serious and the doctors could deal with them. Moreover, he had left some medicine for Shui Feng. Xiaoru immediately poured out the medicine from the porcelain bottle and fed it to Shui Feng. When the medicine entered his stomach, Shui Feng felt a warm current enter his chest. It was like a large hot hand was massaging the blood in his chest. It was very comfortable. He was surprised and happy as he quickly circulated his internal energy to spread the medicine, making the effect spread a bit faster. After a while, he suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. He jumped up from the ground and knelt down on one knee in front of Mo Chuan. Emperor, this subordinate didn't protect you well and lost an important item. I asked the emperor to punish me. Ah, Shui Feng, you're better. Xiao Ru called out in a surprised and happy voice. Her face was filled with happiness. Mo Chuan and Qin Ning also had happy expressions. Although they knew that Gu Qing's medical skills were like gods, they never thought that Shui Feng would recover this quickly. Not only were the two of them surprised, even Shui Feng himself felt this was a bit strange. He only felt that after taking the medicine, the qi in his dantian was full and his internal injuries were mostly healed. He tore open his clothes and saw that there was only a faint red mark left on the bright red palm print. He was instantly stunned. This matter has nothing to do with you. Shui Feng, you don't need to blame yourself. That Chu Xiaoyang has mastered the great golden palm, it's no wonder you aren't his match. Mo Chuan raised his right hand and Shui Feng felt a strong force supporting his elbows. He couldn't help standing up. Looking at Mo Chuan, his heart filled with shock. He already knew that his master's cultivation was deeper than his, but he never thought that it would be stronger than him. But what shocked him even more was the news that Mo Chuan had said. King's Feng's palm, King's Shui Feng didn't say. No wonder his palm strike was so strong and fierce that I couldn't even withstand a single strike from him. His martial arts weren't far from Chu Xiaoyang's, but Chu Xiaoyang suddenly appeared and sent a palm at his chest without a word. With his movement technique and reaction speed, he couldn't dodge it in time. It was a good thing that he moved his chest half an inch at the critical moment. But even like this, when that palm hit his chest, he spat out a mouthful of blood. His blood boiled and his vision turned black. Chapter 1446. Thinking about it now, his heart filled with a chill. He was shocked that Chu Xiaoyang's cultivation had improved this much. He couldn't even block a single move from the other side and was heavily injured. Mo Chuan nodded. He told him about how Chu Xiaoyang learned the great strength golden palm in the heavenly prison, how he injured the guards, and how he escaped the heavenly prison. His expression turned serious as he said, Shui Feng, go and recover first. Come see this one after you've recovered, this one has something to tell you. Shui Feng said without even thinking, this subordinate's injuries are already fine. If the emperor has anything to say, just give the order. Mo Chuan shook his head in disapproval. Are you treating this one's words as passing wind? Shui Feng did not dare say anything else. He bowed to Mo Chuan and slowly retreated. Then his figure disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. The imperial bodyguard saw that his injury was much heavier than all of them, but in just a short while, he seemed to be fine. Moreover, his qigong was still so mysterious and unfathomable that all of them admired him very much. Xiao Ru couldn't help rubbing her eyes. She found that Shui Feng really had disappeared and she pulled on Qin Ning's sleeve. Young miss, is Shui Feng really healed? He was heavily injured just now, how could he be healed in the blink of an eye? Qin Ning patted the back of her hand and said with a faint smile, speaking of this, he should be thanking you. It's a good thing you invited my master over and gave him a healing elixir. You even personally fed it to him, that's why his injuries healed so quickly. Xiao Ru pouted and said, how could I dare have him thank me, I just wanted to repay his kindness. He doesn't care about my pouch, but now that I've invited a godly doctor to save his life, it can be considered as me repaying him. From now on, he and I will mind our own business, so I won't use my warm face to stick to his cold butt. Xiao Ru said with a smile. Qin Ning revealed a smile and turned to look at Mo Chuan. Do you want to visit the Empress Dowager? She thoughtfully asked. With such a large matter happening in the palace, she believed that at this moment, the news of Chu Xiaoyang escaping from prison might have already reached Empress Dowager Zhou's ears. Even if Mo Chuan did not visit, Empress Dowager Zhou would have sent someone to summon Mo Chuan. As for herself, she didn't want to get involved in this matter. Empress Dowager Zhou didn't like her at all, and perhaps after she found out about this, she would blame it on her for Chu Xiaoyang's escape. She had no interest in taking this blame. Mo Chuan was thinking about this matter. Hearing this, he asked, "Why don't you come with me?" Chen Ning shook her head and said with a smile, "When the Empress Dowager sees me, she might fly into a rage." "Do you want me to be scolded by the Empress Dowager?" Mo Chin, Mo Xiao Mo Chu, with the little girl, he, Mo Chuan, you, Mo Chin, I, Mo, Mo, alright, you go back to the palace to rest first. I'll be right back after visiting my mother. Chen Ning nodded with a smile. She pulled Xiao Ru's hand and returned to the palace. Mo Chuan went to the Peaceful Life Palace. As Chen Ning expected, Empress Dowager Zhou already knew that Chu Xiaoyang had escaped from prison and injured the guards in the royal study. When she was prepared to send someone to summon Mo Chuan, she heard a palace servant report that the emperor was asking for an audience. Quickly let him in. Empress Dowager Zhou immediately said. Chapter 1447. Su Jin stayed by her side the entire time. She didn't even close her eyes, but she had a happy smile on her face the entire time. She had never seen Empress Dowager Zhou sleep this peacefully before. All of this was because of the ancient divine doctor's elixir. Thank the heavens and earth, bless the Empress Dowager to live 100 years, living a long and healthy life. She knelt on the ground and silently prayed for Empress Dowager Zhou. Empress Dowager Zhou slept for a very, very long time, not waking up until the next morning. Su Jin did not dare wake Empress Dowager Zhou up and let her continue to sleep. She remembered Gu Qingzi saying that the longer Empress Dowager Zhou slept, the better it would be for her recovery. So Empress Dowager Zhou slept until she naturally woke up. After waking up, she felt full of energy, like the energy she had lost for many years had returned to her body. In the past, when she woke up, her movements were very slow. She needed Su Jin's help to get up slowly. Today, after waking up, she opened her eyes and sat up from the bed effortlessly. This gave Su Jin, who was standing in front of the bed, a big shock. Empress Dowager, you're up. Su Jin's mouth turned into a circle as she looked at Empress Dowager Zhou in a daze, wondering if she was seeing an illusion. I'm up. This sleep was truly comfortable. Woo, that brat surnamed Gu really does have some skills. Empress Dowager Zhou felt full of energy, never feeling so comfortable before. Her shoulders and back would be sore when she woke up, but she didn't feel any discomfort today. She even pushed away Su Jin's hand that wanted to help her up. She put on her clothes and got off the bed, revealing a faint smile on her lips. Empress Dowager, you feel very comfortable. Are you not feeling uncomfortable? Su Jin was more and more surprised, even speaking incoherently. Especially seeing the smile on Empress Dowager Zhou's face when she woke up, her heart was filled with an indescribable feeling. It was unknown how long it had been since she had seen Empress Dowager Zhou's happy smile. This widow's body feels very comfortable. That's right, Su Jin, send a decree for this widow. This widow wants to see that ancient divine doctor again and properly reward him. Empress Dowager Zhou said with a smile. After she said this, she looked up at the sky and was stunned. Su Jin, what time is it now? Wasn't this widow celebrating Zhao Rong's birthday in the Enchanting Palace? Why did I come back to the Peaceful Life Palace? She tried her best to remember, but she only remembered that after she took the medicine, she felt her body become light and she felt her body become warm. It was an indescribable comfortable feeling. Then she leaned back into the chair and fell asleep. How did Ai Jia fall asleep? Quick, let's go to Enchanting Palace Hall. I hope we can still make it to the banquet. I also hope that Zhao Rong won't blame AI Jia. She repeatedly called out, Su Jin, quickly help AI Jia change clothes, we're going to Enchanting Palace Hall immediately. Su Jin's words and Su Dowager's Jin's and she smiled, Su Empress, Su you Su Dowager's birthday banquet is Su Jin time. This means this widow missed Zhao Rong's birthday banquet? Empress Dowager Zhou was stunned. Su Yu. Jin, Su, Jin Su, Dowager Dao Su. Sigh, why did I sleep for so long? But this sleep was really comfortable, as if all my illnesses were gone. Chapter 1448. Su Jin helped her comb her hair while saying with a smile, that divine Dr. Gu's medical skills are truly amazing. The Empress Dowager is very spirited right now, it's like she's suddenly become 10 years younger. You lass, you only know how to flatter me with your glib tongue. Empress Dowager Zhou revealed a smile. She looked at her face in the mirror and felt very satisfied. Su Jin said with a smile, this servant is already an aunt, only the Empress Dowager still calls this servant a servant. If others heard this, wouldn't they laugh at this servant? Empress Dowager Zhou also smiled, even if you're a grandmother, in this widow's eyes, you're still the little girl that just entered the palace. The two of them were in a happy mood as they talked and laughed. Empress Dowager Zhou suddenly thought of something and asked, little girl Su Jin, after this widow fell asleep yesterday, how was Zhao Rong's birthday banquet? The emperor didn't do anything to disappoint Zhao Rong, right? What she was worried about the most was that without her here, there would be no one to help Zhao Rong control the situation. She had already planned it all out and had arranged everything properly. She had to let Zhao Rong show off at the birthday banquet and show off. Moreover, she had thought of how to suppress Qin Ning's position as the empress, giving Zhao Rong princess face in front of all the ministers. But no one would have thought that sometimes a man's plans would be surpassed by heaven's plans. She had actually fallen asleep at the birthday banquet and slept for 20 hours. Not only did she miss the birthday banquet, she didn't even know what happened afterwards. Su Jin thought in her heart, the things that happened after you left yesterday were really hard to explain in a few words. Naturally she knew what happened afterwards. There was nothing big or small in the palace that could be hidden from the peaceful life palace, not to mention Zhao Rong princess doing such a shocking thing. Only she didn't have the courage to report this to Empress Dowager Zhou. She was only worried that after Empress Dowager Zhou heard this, she would faint from anger. Wouldn't that be a large crime? Empress Dowager, this servant doesn't know what happened afterwards. After you fell asleep, this servant came back with you and it seems like nothing happened. Although you weren't here, the emperor was still here. With the emperor in charge, are you worried that something would go wrong? Su Jin's reply was very smart. When Empress Dowager Zhou heard this, she couldn't help nodding. You're right. Even if the emperor doesn't like Zhao Rong, he wouldn't embarrass her in front of Duke Ning and all the ministers. Not to mention she is his cousin and it was her birthday yesterday, so Zhao Rong must be very happy. What time is it now and she hasn't come to the palace to greet this widow yet? It really is a grown girl. This girl must have gone to visit her cousin, the emperor. This girl must have gone to see her emperor cousin first. Su Jin thought that Zhao Rong Junju had made a fool of herself in front of everyone yesterday. It wasn't just embarrassing, she had lost all her face. She probably wouldn't have the face to take a step out of her home for at least half a month, much less enter the palace to pay her respects. But she didn't dare to say it out loud. She only smiled and echoed, Empress Dowager is right. After Junju Nyang returned to the capital, she came to pay her respects every day at this hour. If she doesn't appear at this hour, there must be something important. Chapter 1449. As the two of them were talking, they suddenly heard a noise coming from the palace gates. Empress Dowager Zhou knit her brows. What happened? This servant will go take a look, Su Jin quickly said. She quickly walked out of the palace gates and saw a group of imperial guards surrounding the peaceful life palace. She couldn't help knitting her brows. Commander Liao, why did you bring people to surround the peaceful life palace? She looked at the commander of the imperial guards. Aunt Su Jin, this subordinate is under the emperor's orders to protect the Empress Dowager, Commander Liao respectfully said. Although Su Jin was a servant, she was Empress Dowager Zhou's most trusted aunt, so her position in the palace was different. Everyone knew that the emperor was filial to his mother and was very kind to Su Jin. So when they saw Su Jin, they were very respectful, not daring to offend her at all. Protect the Empress Dowager. Commander Liao, quickly tell me, what exactly happened? Su Jin continued to ask without relaxing. Her eyes looked over the imperial guards in bright armor and a faint sense of unease appeared in her heart. Commander Liao did not dare hide anything and told her about Chu Xiaoyang escaping from prison. What? King Dingyuan escaped from prison. Su Jin was shocked. She took in a cold breath and opened her eyes wide in disbelief. Commander Liao nodded and then said, when King Dingyuan escaped from prison, he used a heavy hand and injured many guards in the prison. The emperor is worried that King Dingyuan will harm the Empress Dowager, so he sent this subordinate to protect him. This news was just too shocking. Although Su Jin did not dare believe it, seeing the serious expression on Commander Liao's face without a trace of falsehood, even if she didn't want to believe it, she had no choice. She quickly nodded and said, I understand. I'll report this to the Empress Dowager. Turning around, she quickly ran back to Empress Dowager Zhou's palace. After taking a deep breath, she repeated what Commander Liao had just said. Empress Dowager Zhou was also shocked like her, so shocked that she couldn't say anything. Before the two of them could recover from the shock of this news, they received an even more shocking piece of news. Chu Xiaoyang had charged into the royal study and injured countless guards. He had even injured Jue Feng to the point of spitting out blood, not knowing if he was dead or alive. After Empress Dowager Zhou heard this, her body began to tremble. She muttered, crazy, he must be crazy. No, this widow doesn't believe it, this widow doesn't believe it. Her body swayed and she almost fell, but Su Jin quickly supported her. Empress Dowager, please sit down first. This news might not be true, but this servant will send people to investigate. This servant does not believe that King Dingyuan would suddenly go against the grain and do something that goes against the norm. Empress Dowager Zhou's chair and gave her a cup of hot tea. Empress Dowager Zhou drank 2 sips and then she felt a little. Empress Zhou, Dowager Zhou's Jean. Su Su of the palace, Su Su, the Su, Su, he, Su, Su Jin did not dare delay and quickly ran out, sending people to summon the Zhao Emperor. Who would have thought that at this time, Mo Chuan would already be in front of the peaceful life palace? Mother. The first thing Mo Chuan did after entering the door was to greet Empress Dowager Zhou. Empress Dowager Zhou sat in the chair with a dark face that almost dripped water. Her eyes stared at Mo Chuan, not saying a word. Chapter 1450. When Su Jin saw that the situation was not good, she quickly signaled the eunuchs and palace maids in the room with her eyes. Everyone understood and quietly left the room. Even Su Jin followed behind everyone and left the room, gently closing the door behind her, leaving only the mother and son pair behind. Although she wanted to know what had happened and whether or not King Dingyuan had really broken out of prison, she knew the rules of the palace. Things that shouldn't be known by this servant, she couldn't hear a single word and couldn't ask a single word. If she couldn't control her ears and mouth, she wouldn't be able to live long in the palace. In the room, Empress Dowager Zhou had a calm expression as she looked at Mo Chuan without saying a word. Mo Chuan slowly stood up. His tall and straight body was like a bamboo tree. His deep black eyes quietly looked at Empress Dowager Zhou, not avoiding Empress Dowager Zhou's aggressive gaze at all. Very good, you still know to take the initiative to find this widow. After a long time, Empress Dowager Zhou finally slapped the table and angrily shouted. The teacup on the table was slapped by her and it shook, falling to the ground. Mo Chuan's right hand reached out and steadily caught the teacup, calmly placing it into Empress Dowager Zhou's hands. Mother, please have some tea. With such a large matter happening, this widow still has the heart to drink tea. Empress Dowager Zhou angrily said. Her right hand raised and the teacup was thrown out. It was like Mo Chuan was gliding on water. His upper body did not move and his right hand had already caught the teacup. Empress Dowager Zhou was a bit stunned and there was already a teacup in her hand. Looking down, she saw that it was the one she had just thrown out. She was stunned, not knowing if she should be angry or amused. She just stared at Mo Chuan. Mother, if you don't drink this tea, it'll get cold. Mo Chuan had a calm expression as he spoke in a calm voice. Empress Dowager Zhou brought the teacup to her lips and took a sip. Then she slammed it down on the table and gave a snort. Good, you've really grown up. You've learned martial arts and even know how to show off in front of your mother. Her voice was filled with ridicule. Mo Chuan bowed and said, Your son still has to thank mother for her teachings. Teachings my ass. When Empress Dowager Zhou heard this, she was filled with anger and began to curse. As soon as these words came out, her face turned red and she felt a bit embarrassed. It was a good thing there was no one else in the room, only her and Mo Chuan. She slammed the table and raised her voice as she scolded, I have never taught you to take things by force, to forget your friends when you see a woman, and to do such despicable things. You still have the nerve to say that it is my teachings? You have lost my face. Mo Chuan said in a deep voice, What did your son do wrong for mother to scold your son like this? Mo Chuan said with a deep voice, What did your son do? Fine, since you're acting dumb in front of me, I'll tell you all the shameless things you've done in the past. You say, there are so many women in the world, you could have taken a fancy to anyone, but you just had to take a fancy to your niece's wife. There were so many women in the world, you could have married anyone, but you had to forcefully marry King Ding Yuan's princess. King Yuan. She was so angry that her body trembled and her face changed. Mo Chuan had guessed that Empress Dowager Zhou would bring up this matter again, so he was already prepared. He thought that Ning was really smart, not coming with him, otherwise she would not have been able to escape Empress Dowager Zhou's scolding. Chapter 1451. You didn't do anything wrong. Empress Dowager Zhou stared at him, wishing she could slap her stubborn son a few times. Mo Chuan decisively said, Your son did not marry King Ding Yuan's princess, but rather the country protecting Shenfang's eldest daughter, Chen Ning. King Ding Yuan has already been publicly divorced by her, this matter is known to the entire world. Moreover, it happened in front of mother and the civil and military officials, mother wouldn't forget, right? You're still being unreasonable. When Empress Dowager Zhou heard this, she was filled with rage. She grabbed the teacup and threw it at Mo Chuan. Mother, please calm your anger. Mo Chuan reached out and caught the teacup, placing it back into Empress Dowager Zhou's hands. Empress Dowager Zhou looked at the teacup in her hand, not knowing whether to throw it or throw it. She could only heavily place it down on the table and put on a serious expression. Very good, now you don't even listen to this widow's words. Are you planning on angering this widow to death? Mo Chuan looked up at Empress Dowager Zhou and suddenly said, Mother's complexion is very good today. It seems like the ancient divine doctor's medicine really has a miraculous effect. He found that although Empress Dowager Zhou was filled with anger, her eyes were filled with energy. Her face was rosy and her skin had turned from yellow to glossy. His heart was filled with joy and he was filled with gratitude towards Guqingze. When Empress Dowager Zhou heard his concerned words, her heart couldn't help softening. She thought that even if this son had 1,000 faults, he was still very filial to her. Not to mention, he didn't do anything evil. He was young and had fallen in love with a beautiful girl, wanting to marry her, but the mistake was that this beautiful girl was not someone else, but rather his niece's wife. No matter how long this matter passed, it would always be talked about by others. It would become a stain that he could never wash away. Originally, she could pretend that it was better to avoid trouble and let this matter slowly fade away. But who would have thought that because of this matter, it would cause such a huge uproar? When she heard that Chu Xiaoyang had escaped from prison, her head buzzed. She thought, this is bad, this is bad. This was all his son's fault. It is indeed thanks to Dr. Gu's medicine that I haven't been angered to death by you. Emperor, did you already know that this would happen? That's why you summoned Guqingze to the palace to treat me. So it turns out that you had planned this and harbored ulterior motives. She sneered. Mo Chuan didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he replied, Mother, not to mention that the matter with the ancient divine doctor was not arranged by your son, even if it was planned by your son, it would be for Mother's health. It can only be said that your son has good intentions, it can't be said to have any ulterior motives, right? Empress Dowager Zhou was stunned and couldn't reply. She glared at Mo Chuan and coldly said, Very good, you've married an eloquent empress. Your other skills haven't improved, but your eloquence has improved. Mo Chuan secretly thought that no matter what he said, his mother would take her anger out on Ning. But thinking about it, Empress Dowager Zhou's words did make sense. He couldn't help curling his lips and revealing a faint smile. Empress Dowager Zhou saw the smile on his face and became even angrier. She shouted, You still have the face to smile. Tell Ai Jia, where did this matter come from? How are you prepared to deal with it? Mo Chuan deliberately asked, Your son doesn't know what Mother is referring to. You don't know. I don't know why you came to the Peaceful Life Palace. Your son is only worried about Mother, so I came to visit Mother. Chapter 1452. Mo Chuan knew he couldn't hide it, so he said, As soon as your son returned to the palace, I received news that Chu Xiaoyang had escaped from prison. Your son was worried that he would harm Mother, so I sent the imperial army to protect Mother. Hey, you've finally told the truth. Tell this widow, why did Chu Xiaoyang escape from prison? Even if he really escaped from the heavenly prison, the one he wanted to harm was not this widow, but rather someone else. Emperor, aren't you protecting the wrong person? Empress Dowager Zhou said with a cold smile. Mo Chuan replied, Your son has already sent people to lock down the capital, we must capture Chu Xiaoyang. When we capture him, your son will personally interrogate him. Why did he escape from the heavenly prison and why did he injure the palace guards, committing this kind of treacherous crime? Empress Dowager Zhou forcefully slapped the table and shouted, You already know the answer. Who with a brain doesn't know why he escaped? Why did he break into the royal study and injure people? Emperor, you're still pretending to be confused in front of this widow. Do you really think this widow is an old fool? Mo Chuan said in a deep voice, Your son really doesn't understand. Alright, since you don't understand, this widow will explain it to you. Why did Chu Xiaoyang escape from the heavenly prison? He's coming out to take revenge on you. You stole his beloved woman, you wrongly accused him of stealing, you locked him in the heavenly prison, and you want his life. He wasn't made of mud, he was a person. He was wrongly accused by you, how could he not be filled with hatred? How could he not be filled with hatred? Emperor, you have to be careful. Be careful of the head on your neck and be careful of the dragon throne under your butt. Empress Dowager Zhou said this while rubbing her chest. She felt like there was a large stone pressing down on her chest, making it hard for her to breathe. She had kept these words in her heart for a long, long time, but she couldn't say them out loud. But now that she said them, she felt even more annoyed. In the end, it was all that girl named Chin Ning's fault. She was the main culprit of all of this. If she didn't exist in this world, none of this would have happened. Mo Chuan looked up and looked right at Empress Dowager Zhou. Mother, are you blaming your son? Your meaning is that the reason Chu Xiaoyang committed such a heinous crime was all because of your son forcing him. Is it not? Empress Dowager Zhou sharply asked. Hearing this, Empress Dowager Zhou couldn't help picking up the cane beside her and slamming it at Mo Chuan's back. Hearing this, Empress Dowager Zhou couldn't help picking up the cane beside her and slamming it at Mo Chuan's back. You have the nerve to say you have a clear conscience. You've failed the previous emperor and failed your ancestors. If I die, I won't have the face to see my ancestors in the underworld. Because of her agitation, she began to cough violently. Mo Chuan gently dodged Empress Dowager Zhou's cane. He held the cane in one hand and supported Empress Dowager Zhou with the other. Mother, please don't be angry. Since Mother believes that I was wrong, then what does Mother want me to do? Mother, as she wants, your son as you can, son, do anything. Mo said, will do what? S said. Your son can do whatever Mother wants, but your son has a bottom line. As long as Mother doesn't touch that bottom line, your son will follow Mother's orders. Mo Chuan calmly replied. Empress Dowager Zhou stared at him and didn't say anything for a long time. Chapter 1453. That girl with the surname Shen was his bottom line. His words were clearly telling her that as long as he didn't touch Chin Ning, he was fine with anything. Even if he didn't become the emperor, he didn't care. Empress Dowager Zhou's heart was filled with an indescribable feeling. There was hatred, annoyance, and resentment, but in the depths of her heart, there was also a deep admiration for her son. He really was her son. Towards the person he cared about the most, he would do his best to protect her. Although Empress Dowager Zhou didn't approve of the person he wanted to protect, she was still moved by her son's infatuation. If things didn't go out of hand like this, how could she be willing to be the evil person that broke up a couple? How could she not want to maintain the scene of a loving mother and filial son? How could she not want to see her son and daughter-in-law loving each other? But she was not a mother from a normal family and he was not a son from a normal family. She was the Empress Dowager of a country and he was the ruler of a country. She couldn't allow her son to do anything wrong, she couldn't allow her son to become the laughingstock of the world, and she couldn't allow her son's glorious life to have a single stain. She had to get rid of this stain on her son's life. Otherwise, the consequences would be even worse. Empress Dowager Zhou thought about it and the angry expression on her face slowly calmed down. She held Mo Chuan's hand and sat back down in the chair. Emperor, tell this widow, how are you prepared to deal with this matter? Your son wants to hear Mother's thoughts. Mo Chuan placed the cane back beside Empress Dowager Zhou and sat down to her right. This widow's meaning is that no matter what, you can't harm Chu Xiaoyang's life. You have to know his identity, he is the previous emperor's son. If you harm his life, this widow is afraid that you won't be able to sit on the throne. Empress Dowager Zhou hit the nail on the head. Mo Chuan pondered for a bit and said, your son understands Mother's meaning, but Chu Xiaoyang has committed this kind of crime, does your son have to forgive him? What crime did he commit? He was clearly wronged. You don't understand Xiaoyang's personality, but this widow does. He has never been wronged by others since he was young. You said that he stole your 5-shot crossbow blueprint. If he really did steal it, then he definitely wouldn't have escaped from prison. But if he didn't do it, with his personality, he wouldn't have been able to accept it. He would have risked everything to escape the heavenly prison. Since you accused him of stealing the blueprint, he would have really stolen it for you to see. He broke into the royal study to take the blueprint. If this widow's guesses aren't wrong, then the blueprint is gone. Empress Zhou calmly analyzed. After she said this, Mo Chuan took in a cold breath and looked at Empress Dowager Zhou. After a long time, he finally let out a sigh of relief. Mother, you really can predict things like a god. That's right, your son hid the blueprint in the royal study. That mechanism was hidden very well, only your son, Chu Xiaoyang, and Xiaobai knew about it. Now that the blueprint has disappeared, Shui Feng said that he personally saw Chu Xiaoyang steal it. Chapter 1454. Since mother didn't hear me clearly, your son will say it again. If Chu Xiaoyang dares to resist arrest, your son will not show mercy. Mo Chuan clearly said. Empress Dowager Zhou's body heavily trembled. You want to kill him? It's just a weapon blueprint, what's so special about it? For a few broken blueprints, you want Chu Xiaoyang's life. Mo Chuan patiently said, Mother, those aren't just broken blueprints, they are 5 crossbow blueprints. If they fall into the hands of other countries, the consequences will be unimaginable. Empress Dowager Zhou's face sunk as she said, Your meaning is that Chu Xiaoyang will take these blueprints and betray the country. What kind of person do you think Chu Xiaoyang is? He is the previous emperor's son, he is also surnamed Chu. His body is the same as yours, he has the blood of the Chu royal family flowing in him. She said this word for word in a forceful voice. Mo Chuan remained silent. Empress Dowager Zhou then said, What, you don't believe this widow's words? Do you really think that Chu Xiaoyang will betray the country just because you stole his woman? This widow is telling you, he won't. Although he stole the blueprints, it is just to take revenge on you. In a few days, once the anger in his heart dispels, he will naturally return the blueprints. This widow believes that he is not a person who doesn't know what is important or who doesn't care about the country. Mo Chuan curled his lips and said in a sarcastic voice, Isn't he? Empress Dowager Zhou's face turned livid. She forcefully slapped the table and shouted, Emperor. If you want to do anything normally, this widow will let you, but if you want to use this opportunity to harm Chu Xiaoyang, this widow will not allow it. Using this opportunity to take revenge. Mo Chuan's calm face couldn't help changing. He gritted his teeth and coldly looked at Empress Dowager Zhou, so in mother's heart, your son is this kind of person. Empress Dowager Zhou was shocked by Mo Chuan's gaze and her heart skipped a beat. She knew that her words were too heavy, so her expression relaxed and she took in a breath. Chuan, mother's meaning is that you have to guard against the citizens' mouths. Mother can tolerate you, but the citizens will not tolerate you. You have to bear the consequences of your actions, but can you bear the reputation of cutting the weeds from the roots? Aren't you afraid the spittle of the people in the world will kill you? You have to know that guarding the mouths of the people is even more dangerous than guarding the rivers. Empress Dowager Zhou earnestly said. Mo Chuan raised his brows. Your son's way of doing things is still the same, I have a clear conscience. Since Imperial Mother doesn't believe son's words, then please wait and see. Imperial Mother only knows how to guard against the people's mouths, but has Imperial Mother ever heard of nurturing a tiger to invite calamity? Chin, T, Empress Dowager Zhou felt that his eyes were a bit strange. Thinking about what she had just said, her old face turned red. She had been scolding him, but she had ended up scolding herself. She had called her son an animal, didn't that make her the mother of an animal? Bastard brat, did this widow give birth to you to make this widow angry? Stinky brat, see if this widow won't beat you to death today. Chapter 1455. Empress Dowager, the ancient divine doctor's medicine is ready and this servant has brought it to you. The ancient divine doctor said that this medicine has to be drunk while it's hot, that way the effects will be the most obvious. There was a soft knock on the room and Su Jin's soft voice came from outside. Empress Dowager Zhou's cane stopped in midair. She was panting as she stared at Imo Chuan. If she hit him, she was a bit reluctant, but if she didn't hit him, she wouldn't be able to lower her face. At this time, Su Jin pushed open the door and walked in. Seeing Empress Dowager Zhou raise her cane, her face was still calm. She was already used to this kind of situation. She walked beside Empress Dowager Zhou with the tray and took the cane from her hand, placing the bowl of medicine in her hand. Empress Dowager, drink the medicine. She moved the ladder at the right time, solving Empress Dowager Zhou's awkwardness. Mo Chuan revealed a faint smile. He picked up a plate of candied plums from the table and placed it in front of Empress Dowager Zhou. Mother, after drinking the medicine, eat a piece of candied plums. This medicine won't taste bitter. The anger in Empress Dowager Zhou's heart instantly disappeared. Although she kept a straight face, her eyes were no longer sharp. She gave a snort and picked up the bowl of medicine. She drank all the medicine in the bowl and put it down, not even looking at the candied plums Mo Chuan placed in front of her. Mo Chuan was not angry at all. He put down the candied plums and waved his sleeves as he stood up. Since mother does not want to see your son, then this minister will leave first. I'll come see mother another day. Empress Dowager Zhou shouted, stop. This widow still hasn't finished speaking. Mo Chuan turned around and revealed a faint smile, you can keep mother's words in your stomach for now. After your son catches Chu Xiaoyang, I'll come and listen to mother's teachings. Empress Dowager Zhou gritted her teeth and said, all right, you've grown up and won't take this widow's words to heart, but this widow only wants you to promise one thing. No matter what, you can't harm Chu Xiaoyang's life. Can you do this? Mo Chuan's expression turned cold as he said in a cold voice, as long as he doesn't do something like betraying the country, your son will not take his life. But if he does, then please forgive your son for righteousness before family. Empress Dowager Zhou stared at him and couldn't help being speechless. She waved her hand and said with a sigh, you can leave. No matter what, this widow hopes you can think twice. Mo Chuan once again bowed and left. Empress Dowager Zhou held Su Jin's hand and slowly sat down. Her expression was dejected, as if she had aged quite a bit. Empress Dowager, Divine Dr. Goose said that after taking the medicine, it's best for you to rest on the bed and not to worry. Dowager Empress said, Dowager Empress, Dowager Ning, Dowager Su said. Immerse. But when Empress Dowager Zhou learned of Chu Xiaoyang's matter, her heart was like a volcano erupting. How could she calm down and how could she sleep? She rubbed her forehead in annoyance and felt her temples throbbing with pain. Empress Dowager, lie down on the bed. This servant will help you rub it. Su Jin saw Empress Dowager Zhou's appearance and her heart was filled with worry. Empress Dowager Zhou went to bed and closed her eyes. Su Jin put some spices into the incense burner and a faint fragrance filled the room. After smelling it, a person's mind slowly calmed down. Chapter 1456. After a while, Empress Dowager Zhou suddenly gave a sigh and said, Su Jin, do you think this widow cares too much and talks too much, so the emperor is already tired of this widow? She couldn't help revealing a sad expression. This was because she felt more and more that the distance between her and Mo Chuan was growing. She could no longer understand what her son was thinking and she had no way of controlling her son's thoughts. Su Jin thought about it and comforted her, Empress Dowager, the emperor is no longer a child. He is wise and decisive, even the ministers are full of praise for him and follow his orders. Even if the sky falls, this servant believes that the emperor will be able to support it. So, no matter what happens, you just need to put your heart in your stomach and let the emperor handle it himself. This servant believes that he will be able to handle it well. Empress Dowager Zhou shook her head and said, "This widow just can't let go of this heart. I'm always worried that he will act recklessly and let his emotions affect his decisions, causing things to go out of control." Su Jin didn't understand and replied, "The emperor has a sense of propriety, the Empress Dowager should believe in the emperor." Empress Dowager Zhou suddenly opened her eyes and looked right at Su Jin. This scared Su Jin and she softly called out, "Empress Dowager." "Propriety." Empress Dowager Zhou said with a cold smile, "Don't you know that he has already given the order to kill Chu Xiaoyang?" Su Jin was shocked and said in a trembling voice, What? This is true. Of course it's true." Empress Dowager Zhou's face was filled with dissatisfaction as she hatefully said, "Chu Xiaoyang stole a secret blueprint from the royal study. The emperor is saying that Xiaoyang took this blueprint to betray the country, so he forbade the entire city to search for Xiaoyang. As long as Xiaoyang resists, he will be killed." Su Jin was stunned. She had never come into contact with matters of the country before, so her mind couldn't think straight. She could only say, "For the emperor to give this kind of order, isn't it a bit unreasonable?" Empress Dowager Zhou gave a snort and angrily said, "This widow is also thinking the same thing. This widow isn't asking him to forgive Xiaoyang's crimes, but even if Xiaoyang did something wrong and stole something, it isn't a death sentence. This widow only said that the emperor was using his position to take revenge and this unfilial son turned against this widow. Humph, this son has no conscience, forgetting his mother after marrying a wife. He doesn't even remember that he was born from this widow's stomach. In his eyes, there is only that girl's surname Qin who is his precious." When Jean heard this, she suddenly understood. Empress Dowager Zhou was angry because of this. She was secretly laughing in her stomach, but she didn't dare show it on her face. She followed Empress Dowager Zhou's meaning and said, The Empress Dowager is right. The emperor doing this, it's no wonder the Empress Dowager is angry. Ning Qin, it is because of that girl's surname Qin. Qin is of Qin Dowager Qin and Qin has Jin, Dowing and Qin, and Su Jin couldn't help defending Qin Ning. Actually, the Empress is a very good person. If the Emperor and the Empress get married, there will be benefits. Chapter 1457. Su Jin thought in her heart. How many good things has the Empress done for our country? One after another, she couldn't even count them all with 10 fingers. But she knew that Empress Dowager Zhou was angry, so she wouldn't listen to anything she said. Instead, she would be angered by it. She suddenly thought of something and said, "As for other good things, this servant can't think of anything right now. This servant can only say something that I just learned." "What is it? Say it." Empress Dowager Zhou stared at her and said. The Empress Dowager fell asleep after taking the divine Dr. Gu's medicine yesterday, so she doesn't know what happened in the Qing and palace. However, this servant has heard that the divine Dr. Gu has accepted a smart disciple. It said that a great teacher produces a great disciple and the divine Dr. Gu's disciples' medical skills are very good. She even gave Zhao Rong Princess a prescription and this prescription was approved by the divine Dr. Gu. Empress Dowager Zhou said, "There was this kind of thing. The divine Dr. Gu's medical skills are very high, so the disciple he likes must be very good. But what does this matter have to do with that girl's surname Qin?" Su Jin gathered her courage and said, "This servant has heard that the divine Dr. Gu's disciple is the Empress." "What did you say?" This time it was Empress Dowager Zhou's turn to be shocked. Even the jade beads in her hand fell to the ground. Su Jin picked up the beads and placed them back in Empress Dowager Zhou's hand. She slowly said, "The divine Dr. Gu's disciple is the Empress. This servant has also heard that the divine Dr. Gu could enter the palace to treat the Empress Dowager this time because of the Empress' request. Everyone in the world knows that the divine Dr. Gu can't cure 3 diseases. The reason he could take the Empress Dowager's pulse as an exception is all because of the Empress." Empress Dowager Zhou was completely stunned. She looked at Su Jin in a daze with a look of disbelief. This widow doesn't believe it, this widow doesn't believe it. This matter was seen by hundreds of eyes and ears in the Enchanting Palace yesterday. If the Empress Dowager doesn't believe it, just call someone over and ask them. Su Jin replied. It wasn't that Empress Dowager Zhou didn't believe Su Jin's words. Su Jin had been by her side for so many years and had never told a single lie, but for this kind of large matter, she had to find someone to confirm it. Good. Immediately summon the palace servant who served in the Enchanting Palace yesterday, she ordered. Not long later, several maids and eunuchs came in and knelt in front of Empress Dowager Zhou. Su Jin said, "The Empress Dowager wants to know what happened in Enchanting Palace Hall yesterday. Did the ancient divine doctor take the Empress as his disciple? Did you hear or see?" When the people in the palace heard that it was for this reason, their hearts that had been in their throats fell to the ground. They answered in unison, "Servants have all seen and heard. Her Highness the Empress is indeed the disciple of Dr. Gu." What they were most afraid of was Empress Dowager Zhou asking about the Zhao Rong princess. The dignified princess losing face in front of everyone, they didn't have the courage to tell Empress Dowager Zhou. Although they couldn't help whispering behind her back, they were already laughing their stomachs out. Chapter 1458. So in Empress Dowager Zhou's heart, Gu Qing's position was already high up and unbreakable. Even towards Gu Qing's disciple, she would love the house and its crow. But when she heard that Gu Qing's disciple was the person she disliked the most, Chen Ning, and that Gu Qingze was treating her because of her, her heart was filled with complex feelings that she couldn't describe. Su Jin saw that Empress Dowager Zhou was in a daze and didn't say anything, so she waved her hand and sent the maids away. She was worried that if Empress Dowager Zhou kept asking, she would find out about Zhao Rong's embarrassing matter. Perhaps she would be excited and it would be bad for her body. The maids were like they had been granted amnesty as they quietly left. After a while, Empress Dowager Zhou gave a sigh and said, "Forget it, forget it." She was chosen by the ancient divine doctor and taken in as a disciple, this can be considered her good fortune. Su Jin could hear that although Empress Dowager Zhou didn't have any good feelings towards Chen Ning, her tone had already softened and her heart was a bit comforted. Empress Dowager Zhou thought about it and then asked, "You said that girl surnamed Qin gave Zhao Rong a prescription, what is going on? What kind of illness does Zhao Rong have that she needs a prescription from that girl Qin? Could it be that the doctors in the doctor yard can't cure her illness?" When Su Jin heard this, she couldn't help secretly complaining, thinking that what she was afraid of had come true. She wanted to hide the matter of Empress Dowager Zhou, but she never thought that her mouth would slip and she would reveal it. She stammered as she said, "The princess, she doesn't have any serious illness, it's just a small illness. The Empress' prescription is very simple and the ancient divine doctor said that as long as she takes the medicine, she will be cured very quickly." Empress Dowager Zhou saw that her expression wasn't right and her heart filled with suspicion. She shouted, "Su Jin, what are you trying to hide? What else are you not telling this widow? Speak quickly." Su Jin's heart skipped a beat and she knew that she couldn't hide it anymore. She could only kneel down and say in a small voice, "This servant will tell the Empress Dowager, but Empress Dowager has to promise this servant that you won't be angry no matter what. If your body is harmed from anger, then it will be this servant's fault." Empress Dowager Zhou was even more shocked as she said in a deep voice, "What is it?" Su Jin had no choice but to tell her how Zhao Rong Junju had contracted a strange disease yesterday. Her entire body was itchy and she hugged the old locust tree in the courtyard to scratch the itch. Although she had simplified it as much as possible and didn't describe Zhao Rong Regent's actions as unbearable, in Empress Dowager Zhou's ears, it was like thunder on a sunny day, completely shocking her. No. Impossible. This is impossible. Su Jin, you are deceiving me, aren't you? Su Jin, you Dowager Qin, Dower Qin, and Jin, and King Dowager Qin, Dao, Su, and Qin in. Su Jin endured the pain and replied, even if this servant had the guts to the heavens, would not dare to deceive the Empress Dowager. This matter is absolutely true. Not only did the ministers in the hall see it, but even the palace maids and the surrounding guards saw it. Empress Dowager Zhou's heart was filled with pain, like someone had slapped her face with a whip. Her entire face was burning with pain. Doubted. Zhou's. Zhou of Ning Ning her Zhao Ning Ming, Zhou. Zhou Ning King Chen. Chapter 1459. Zhao Rong, she. Her life is finished. She's such a disappointing girl. She's let down Aijia's expectations for nothing. Empress Dowager Zhou's heart was filled with grief. She looked up and 2 streams of tears fell from her wrinkled eyes. She knew better than anyone else how important reputation was to an unmarried girl. Zhao Rong had made this kind of disgraceful appearance in front of all the eyes in the Qing and palace. She had already become the laughingstock of the entire capital city and there would be no one who would dare marry her in this life. No matter how much effort she put in, no matter how much she wanted Zhao Rong to enter the palace, it would all be impossible. She could tolerate Zhao Rong's schemes and could tolerate Zhao Rong's schemes, but she could not tolerate a girl with a stain on her reputation. Just like Chen Ning, her status as the Dingyuan princess was like a fishbone that was forever stuck in her heart, making her feel pain just thinking about it. She couldn't stand another thorn in her fragile heart anymore. With this kind of thing happening, Zhao Rong could be considered completely destroyed. What made Empress Dowager Zhou feel sad was that the promise she made to Duke Ning's madam could not be kept. Su Jin was gently patting Empress Dowager Zhou's back while bringing a cup of tea to Empress Dowager Zhou's mouth. Empress Dowager, drink some hot tea to calm your mind. Empress Dowager Zhou pushed her hand away and closed her eyes. She felt exhausted as she muttered, "This widow's head hurts, I need to think about this properly. Zhao Rong, this child. What will she do in the future? Empress Dowager doesn't need to worry too much, Zhao Rong's illness is not serious. As long as she takes medicine, she will be fine." This was personally said by the ancient divine doctor, it can't be false. Su Jin comforted her. Empress Dowager Zhou shook her head and said, "This widow isn't worried about her illness, rather it's her. In her future days, with this kind of thing happening, she can't enter the palace no matter what. But this child is stubborn, she only has Chuan in her heart. If she can't marry Chuan this widow doesn't know what she will do. It really gives this widow a headache." Su Jin's heart skipped a beat and she probingly said, "The Empress Dowager's meaning is that you won't force the emperor to marry Zhao Rong, Empress Dowager Zhou listlessly said, "It's not that this widow broke my promise to Zhao Rong's mother. It's just that this child is too disappointing, having a strange illness like this. It's fine if it's a strange illness, she could have secretly asked the ancient divine doctor to cure her, but she didn't have it earlier or later, choosing to have it happen in the Enchanting palace. She even used that strange method to stop the itch. Our royal family, we can't allow this kind of scandal. She wants to marry Chuan, she doesn't have in this life, but how, this illness. This widow. This. Zhao Zhao and. Qing, I, Zhao, and, ch, Zhao, she. Zhao. Jin, Zhao, and, Yun Zhao, I, Zhao, I. Chapter 1460. Empress Dowager Zhou had said all this and received this kind of stimulation. Adding in the fact that the medicine was slowly taking effect, she was indeed very tired. Although she still had a stomach full of thoughts, her mind was very tired. She just wanted to sleep, so she closed her eyes. Not long after, her breathing became heavy and she fell into a very peaceful sleep. Su Jin waited until Empress Dowager Zhou fell into a deep sleep before quietly leaving. She was secretly happy for Chen Ning. Without the threat of the Zhao Rong princess, Empress Dowager Zhou would not want to depose the Empress and replace her with the Zhao Rong princess. She couldn't help feeling happy that the Zhao Rong princess' strange illness was cured in time, but she never would have thought that the Zhao Rong princess' strange illness was caused by something. When Mo Chuan returned to the Guan Osprey Palace, Chen Ning was sitting in front of the window. She was holding something in her hand and was in a daze. She didn't even notice him walking behind her. Xiao Ru saw Mo Chuan and was prepared to greet him. Mo Chuan waved his hand, indicating for her to leave. She stuck out her tongue and looked at Chen Ning before quietly leaving the room. Mo Chuan looked over from behind Chen Ning and saw that she was holding a silver hairpin in her hand. It was the one the Northern Qi envoy had given her before leaving. He couldn't help revealing a faint smile. You like this kind of hairpin? Tomorrow I'll have Xiao Si take 1,000 silver coins and find the best jewelry shop in the capital to give you 300 pieces. You can change one a day and wear a different one every day, all right? He smiled as he bent down and kissed her on the cheek. When Chen Ning heard his voice, she looked back and said with a smile, really? I'm afraid that even the 300 hairpins you made added together wouldn't be as valuable as this silver hairpin. What's so valuable about this hairpin? Could it not be made of silver? Could it be made of gold? Mo Chuan smiled as he took the silver hairpin from her hand and carefully looked at it. He had to admit that this silver hairpin's carving was very exquisite and the patterns on it were very unique. Other than that, he couldn't see anything special about it. How could it make her stare at it for so long? Chen Ning pursed her lips into a smile. It's not made of gold, but it's thousands, tens of thousands of times more valuable than gold. Mo Chuan was confused, but he knew that she wouldn't speak nonsense. He held the silver hairpin and carefully looked at it again. But no matter how he looked at it, it was just a normal silver hairpin. You mischievous girl, have you noticed something fishy about this? I guessed that the Northern Qi emissary was waiting for you to arrive just to give you an unremarkable silver hairpin. There has to be a problem here. If you don of it, I won't be polite with you. His face became serious as he pretended to be angry. She giggled, how can your majesty be impolite? He stretched out his hands. I want to tickle you so much that you'll hug the big locust tree and rub against it. Chen Ning thought of Zhao Rong princess hugging the large pagoda tree and couldn't help laughing. She said with a smile, all right, I'm afraid of you. She took the silver hairpin back from Mo Chuan and said, look at this hairpin. Mo Chuan looked over and saw that the hairpin was very exquisite. It was a lifelike phoenix head and even the phoenix feathers on the head were as fine as hair, as if they were gently trembling. This phoenix's mouth is open. Look, you can even see its tongue. Chen Ning reminded him. Chapter 1461. Zi, what amazing craftsmanship. I'm afraid our capital's skilled craftsmen can't make such a fine hairpin. No wonder you said this hairpin is worth tens of thousands of gold. Although it's made of silver, it's 10 times more valuable than a gold hairpin. Mo Chuan couldn't help clicking his tongue in wonder. Chen Ning smiled and said, "You're right. A phoenix hairpin like this isn't something a normal jewelry craftsman can make. I believe that even in the Northern Qi Kingdom, there aren't many people who can make this phoenix hairpin. If I'm not wrong, the person who made this hairpin is not a normal craftsman. He should be very famous in the Northern Qi Kingdom." Famous? Are you talking about the #1 craftsman in the world, Qi Yanyu? Mo Chuan blurted out. I'm talking about this person. Chen Ning pointed at the feathers that were even thinner than hair on the phoenix head and said, "Look, doesn't this look like the feather character?" Although Northern Qi and our West Chu's language is different, I've seen the Northern Qi language on their 5 linked crossbows. That feather is very similar to this pattern. I'm guessing that everything Qi Yanyu makes should have this pattern on it. If she didn't mention it, Mo Chuan wouldn't have noticed it. Now that he looked carefully, it was exactly the same as what she said. Not bad, Ning, you really are meticulous. You can even notice such a small detail. Chen Ning smiled and said, "Stop praising me. Let me ask you, isn't that Qi Yanyu a master craftsman? How did he manage to create a phoenix hairpin for women out of the blue?" Mo Chuan couldn't answer her. He thought about it and said, "I know, this must be something Qi Yanyu made for his beloved girl. But how did it fall into the hands of the Northern Qi envoy, and how did that envoy give you this hairpin?" His expression suddenly became a bit strange. He looked at Chen Ning, as if he wanted to say something. Chen Ning couldn't help saying, "If you have something to say, then say it. Aren't you afraid of getting sick by holding it in?" Mo Chuan slowly said, "The girl that Qi Yanyu likes, could it be you?" The more he thought about it, the more he felt it was possible. Otherwise, why would the Northern Qi envoy anxiously wait for Chen Ning to send him off? Why would he give this silver hairpin to her as a gift? This was clearly someone's request. Puchi. Chen Ning couldn't hold it in and let out another laugh. Mo Chuan, your imagination is just too rich. I don't even have anything to do with that Qi Yanyu. The first time I heard of his name was from my master. What kind of relationship do I have with him? The more she thought about it, the more she wanted to laugh. She laughed until she couldn't stand up straight. Mo Chuan's expression was very serious. He placed his hands on Chen's shoulders and stared at her. Chapter 1462. The more Mo Chuan spoke, the more confident he became. Chen Ning didn't know whether to laugh or cry. By the time Mo Chuan finished, she was already bending over in laughter. "Don't say any more. If you keep talking, my stomach will explode from laughing." Mo Chuan stared at her. "I'm talking business with you, why are you laughing? Is this very funny?" Chen Ning suppressed her laughter with great difficulty. She raised her head and the smile was still on her face. She smiled and said, "Mo Chuan, your way of thinking is really outrageous, but this reason doesn't hold water at all." "Why doesn't it hold water?" Chen Ning fixed her hair and said with a smile, "I don't know that Qi Yanyu, but you insist that Qi Yanyu did it for me. You also said that Qi Yanyu was with the Northern Qi envoys, but the first time I appeared in the Northern Qi envoys' guest house was after the blueprint was stolen. Before that, the Northern Qi envoys had already agreed on a time and place for the transaction. At that time, even if Qi Yanyu was with the Northern Qi envoys, he would never have seen me. Not to mention, why would he want to please me? What relationship do I have with him? Do you really have to accuse me like this?" Mo Chuan couldn't answer a single one of her questions. He thought about it carefully and realized that he really was thinking too much. He couldn't help laughing. "All right, I admit that I guessed wrong, but it's not because of this reason. I can't think of any other reason." Chen Ning glanced at him and said with a smile that wasn't a smile, "I actually thought of a suitable reason. What reason? Mo Chuan asked. I'm guessing that there must be a princess in the northern Qi kingdom. That princess has taken a fancy to you, so she took out the 5-linked crossbow blueprint to please you. That's right, it must be because of this reason. That princess must have been with the envoys. Woo, she must be a woman dressed as a man. Perhaps that little attendant who kept looking back 3 times was the princess in disguise. Mo Chuan, quickly tell me the truth. When did you provoke the northern Qi princess? Chen Ning's face turned serious as she asked this question. Mo Chuan was stunned. After a while, he gritted his teeth and said, Good, you sharp-tongued girl, you dare accuse me? When did I know the northern Qi princess? If you dare to throw dirty water at me again, I'll spank your butt. Chen Ning smiled and said, Are you saying you can accuse me and I can't accuse you? All right, I can't argue with you. I admit defeat. Mo Chuan helplessly shook his head. He rubbed her hair and said with a smile, You're not allowed to mention the northern Qi princess in the future. I don't even know the northern Qi princess. She raised her head. Then you can't mention Qi Yanyu anymore. I don't know anyone named Qi Yanyu. You. Mo Chuan nodded and pointed at the phoenix hairpin in her hand. I don't need to mention it, but this hairpin was made by Qi Yanyu. Could there be some kind of mechanism behind it? Chen He to Mo to Ning. To say to Mo He Chuan. Shi He Mo Shi He to. Mo to Chi Shi He Ch He Mo He Chuan. Mo Chuan, can you find where the mechanism is? Mo Chuan shook his head and said, I'm willing to lose to you on this. Seeing how confident you are, you must have discovered something, right? Chapter 1463. Mo Chuan's hand moved quickly and he caught the bead. He couldn't help letting out a surprised "east" sound. There really is a mechanism and this mechanism is very intricately made. Ning, how did you find it? Chen Ning smiled and said, How I found it isn't important. What's important is that this is the real reason the northern Qi envoy gave me this silver hairpin. She took the small bead from Mo Chuan's hand and said, Let's take a look now. What is the real gift he wanted to give me? She carefully looked at it and saw that it was a bead made of fine steel. It was only the size of a mung bean, but it was perfectly round. She looked at it for a while and didn't find anything special about it. She weighed the small bead in her palm and revealed a thoughtful expression. Mo Chuan, try to use your internal strength to crush it. Be careful, I'm guessing that this steel bead is hollow and there might be something hidden inside. She placed the small bead in Mo Chuan's hand. All right. Mo Chuan's 2 fingers gently used strength and with a pu sound, the steel bead split open. It was hollow and revealed a small white object inside. Chen Ning used the hairpin to gently pick it up and picked out the white object. It was a small piece of silk that was like a cicada's wing. She spread out the silk. It was about the size of her palm and there were many small words written on it. There were also some diagrams drawn on it. Mo Chuan also came over to take a look. After looking at it a few times, his expression changed. This is the method to make the snow silk clothing. He blurted out. Snow silk clothing. Chen Ning's heart skipped a beat. Is it the snow silk clothing that my master gave me? Mo Chuan nodded and took the map from her hand with a serious expression. He carefully looked at it and then said, This map looks like a map. Strange, why is there a map? Could it be that the location marked on this map is where the snow silkworms appear? He had never been to northern Qi before, so he was confused by this map. Although Chen Ning had a photographic memory, she had never seen a map of northern Qi before, so she couldn't understand it. Mo Chuan held the map and the more he looked at it, the more excited he became. He couldn't help revealing a passionate light in his eyes. The snow silk garment is the most precious treasure in the world, and its production method is also a secret. The snow silk is a treasure that is extremely difficult to obtain because no one knows where to find the snow silkworm. Without the snow silk garment cannot be made. Therefore, in the whole world, there is only one snow silk garment that you have. If we can find the snow silkworm according to the map, get the snow silk, and have the production method, we can make the second snow silk garment. We don't even need to make it into a garment. As long as we make small pieces of cloth and sew them on the vital parts, we can greatly reduce the casualties of the soldiers on the battlefield. He was thinking about making Chu stronger, so when he saw the snow silk clothes, he immediately thought of using it on the battlefield and for the soldiers. Chen Ning looked at his face that was slightly red from excitement and revealed a faint smile. Chapter 1464. The flames in Mo Chuan's heart burned brightly. It was like he could see the Chu soldiers sweeping through the battlefield, killing their enemies in an awe-inspiring manner. The East Qin and South Yu armies were forced to retreat, Chu taking back the land they had given to the enemy countries, and the citizens of the enemy countries regained their freedom. They returned to Chu's embrace and everyone was crying tears of joy. With the 20 crossbows and the snow silk clothes, this goal was no longer an unreachable dream. As long as he worked hard, he would definitely achieve it. Chen Ning said with a faint smile, "I never thought that the envoy would give me such a special and precious gift. Next time I see him, I really need to properly thank him." "That's right, you said that the silver phoenix hairpin was personally made by Qi Yanyu. Could this blueprint also be personally made by Qi Yanyu? It's even possible that the snow silk clothes I'm wearing were personally made by Qi Yanyu." Mo Chuan looked at the blueprint in his hand and thought about it before saying, "This is very possible. According to what I know, not only is Qi Yanyu good at making weapons, the armor he makes is also better than others, it's just that he is not as famous as the weapons he makes. As for your snow silk clothes, if it was really made by Qi Yanyu, how could it fall into your master's hands? Could it be that your master knows Qi Yanyu? Was your master's snow silk clothes given to him by Qi Yanyu?" He guessed. Chen Ning thought back to the first time Gu Qingze took out the snow silk clothes. His face had a very strange expression. It was like he was a bit unwilling and had a bit of disdain, which she could not understand at that time. Moreover, Gu Qingze seemed to have mentioned Qi Yanyu's name. When he mentioned it, his face clearly revealed a look of disdain, as well as a hint of hostility. Thinking of this, she shook her head. "My master has indeed mentioned Qi Yanyu, but they shouldn't have a deep friendship. Whenever my master mentioned Qi Yanyu, it was like he looked down on him. His expression was ugly and his words were unpleasant to hear. One of them is the #1 divine doctor in the world and the other is the #1 crafting master in the world. They are both #1 in the world and they specialize in their own fields, so they shouldn't be enemies. I don't understand, but when I see my master, I'll ask him about the origin of this snow silk clothes." Mo Chuan nodded and gave the blueprint to Chen Ning. "I see that this blueprint is very complicated. Take a look. If you have the snow silk, can you make this snow silk clothes?" Chen Ning looked at it a few times and felt like they were separated by mountains. The method of making the snow silk clothes was completely different from the method of making weapons. It mainly talked about how to weave the snow silk into the snow silk cloth, but there were many technical terms that made her confused. In her memory palace, there had never been any knowledge about weaving, and she had never read any books about weaving. "I don't understand it. I only know that there is a basic weaving method called twin weaving. It uses 2 needles in parallel, intersecting and weaving. The thread follows yin and yang, one vertical and one horizontal, but I've only heard of it, I've never seen it before. Mo Chuan, the things I know are too little." She gave an ashamed sigh, regretting that she didn't read more books about weaving in the modern era, otherwise she wouldn't be looking at blueprints like they were from the heavens. Chapter 1465. What twin weaving technique you're talking about? I've never heard of it before. It doesn't matter if we don't understand the blueprint, I'll immediately gather the best embroidery maids in the palace and have them teach you the method of weaving. With how smart you are, you'll learn it very quickly. Mo Chuan prepared to call someone in, but Chen Ning stopped him. There's no need to call the embroidery maids, I'm guessing that the method of weaving this snow silk cloth is not that simple. Even the best embroidery maids wouldn't be able to understand it, so I'll ask my master. Mo Chuan, are you worried that my master will reveal this secret? She looked at Mo Chuan with sparkling eyes. She had 100% trust in Gu Qingze in her heart. Gu Qingze even gave her the precious snow silk clothes without blinking, so how could he care about a trivial blueprint? Mo Chuan said without any hesitation, all right, if there's anyone in this world that can understand this blueprint, I believe it would be the divine Dr. Gu. He greatly admired Gu Qingze's machine-making level, especially when he saw the extremely complicated blueprints of the 20 repeating crossbows. It made him prostrate himself in admiration. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile. I'm indebted to your praise, I'll thank you in place of my master. Humph, you really don't have a conscience. This quickly, your master is even closer to you than me. Mo Chuan pretended to be angry as he said. Chen Ning's smile disappeared. Her eyes stared at him without blinking, but she did not say a word. What do you want to say, Un? Mo Chuan stared at her. Mo Chuan, what Chu Xiaoyang stole from the secret compartment in the royal study today, was it really the 20 crossbow blueprint? Mo Chuan couldn't help holding his breath as he continued to stare at her. He saw that her eyes were like autumn waters, bright and bright, and he couldn't help giving a sigh. I really can't hide anything from your eyes. He took out a scroll from his chest and placed it in her hands. This is the 20 crossbow blueprint. What Chu Xiaoyang stole was the 5 crossbow blueprint I bought from Northern Qi. Chen Ning opened the scroll and found that it really was Gu Qingze's personal drawing. There wasn't a single piece missing. She looked up and revealed a faint smile. You really are crafty, actually hiding the 2 blueprints together. Putting the 5 crossbow blueprint in a brocade box and casually placing this one on the side. That Chu Xiaoyang quickly opened the secret compartment, so he would definitely think that the blueprint in the brocade box was the most important, but he would ignore the 20 crossbow blueprint on the side. She shook her head and looked right into his eyes. I'm not suspecting, rather I'm certain. Mo Chuan, you are doing this to test him and lure him in. You can hide it from other people, but you can't hide it from me. Mo Chuan tightly pursed his lips and no longer said anything. Chapter 1466. His conscience was clear. Mo Chuan's lips curled and he revealed a bitter smile. Even she said that she had a clear conscience. Could it be that what she had done was really so unbearable? Did he make his mother and his most beloved girl doubt his intentions? He did not explain himself and just softly said, I have a clear conscience. All right, if you say it like this, then I can be assured. Chen Ning did not continue asking. She knew that Mo Chuan had his own sense of propriety and he had his own ideas. As long as she silently supported him, he would not disappoint her. Ning, there are some things that I don't want to hide from you, but it's better for you not to know. One day, you will understand everything, but right now, I can't tell you yet. Mo Chuan's hand was placed on her shoulder as he spoke with a serious expression. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile. I know, I understand, and I won't be angry because of this. You are a man and the ruler of a country. The world in your heart is much larger than the world in my heart. You have the world in your heart, but my world only has you. As long as you are safe and happy, my world is complete. Mo Chuan's heart felt warm and he couldn't help tightly hugging her. He whispered into her ear, if you keep saying these sweet words, I won't be able to hold myself back. Aren't you afraid? Chen Ning giggled. She placed her head against his chest and said in a soft voice, "I'm not afraid, but now is not the time. I want to see my master and ask him about this map. Also, we can't understand this map, but perhaps my master will be able to understand it." Mo Chuan stroked her hair and let go of her with a smile. "All right, you can go. I'll have Zhui Feng escort you, be careful on the road." He knew that now was not the time to be intimate with her. The table in the royal study was already filled with documents that needed to be taken care of. He could not delay the matters of the country because of a moment of love. In his heart, she was important, but the matters of the citizens were also important. Chen Ning shook her head and said, "Did you forget that Zhui Feng was heavily injured? Let him peacefully recover from his injuries. There's no need for him to escort you, just send another hidden guard." Mo Chuan thought about it after being reminded by her. He said with a nod, "All right, I'll have Xiao Si escort you." Chen Ning said with a smile, "You're really muddled from work. Xiao Si has received your orders to search the entire city for Chu Xiaoyang. Did you even forget this? I'm only going to Dr. Zhang's palace, it's not far, so I don't need Xiao Si. Could it be that other than Zhui Feng and Xiao Si, you don't trust anyone else?" Mo Chuan thought about it and it was just like she said. Other than Zhui Feng and Xiao Si, he wouldn't feel assured sending anyone else to protect her. He suddenly thought of a person and blurted out, "It would be good if Xiao Bai was still here." He wasn't used to suddenly leaving at this time, so he couldn't accept it. When Chu Xiao Bai's name came out, the two of them fell silent and the smiles on their faces disappeared. Chapter 1467. Mo Chuan said in a low voice, "No, this matter isn't your fault, it's mine. If it wasn't for my selfishness and sending him far away, perhaps you would have already chosen him and not me. It was me who wronged him, the one he should blame is me. Ning, don't blame yourself. I believe that Xiao Bai is an open-minded person, the one that he finds hard to accept is not you or me, but rather Chu Xiaoyang. In his heart, he has always treated Chu Xiaoyang as his closest relative, but he never thought that the most important relative in his heart would lie to him. This is the real reason he doesn't want to face it." Chen Ning's eyes filled with tears. When she was about to speak, Mo Chuan reached out and placed a finger on her lips. "You're not allowed to cry, you're not allowed to cry. It's all my fault, I shouldn't have mentioned Xiao Bai. If you keep crying for Chu Xiao Bai, aren't you afraid I'll be jealous?" She took a breath and forced back the tears in her eyes. Her lips curled up and she forced out a smile. "I believe that Xiao Bai wants you to be happy, so you have to smile often. If you cry all day, your face will soon be covered in wrinkles. When Xiao Bai comes back one day and sees you, he won't be able to recognize you." "Hey, where did you come from, old woman?" Chen Ning couldn't help laughing at Mo Chuan. "I won't talk to you anymore, I have to leave now. I'll be back before it gets dark. Be careful on the way. I'll arrange for the secret guards to protect you," Mo Chuan said. Chen Ning nodded. She carefully placed the thin silk in her chest and then opened her suitcase, preparing to change into a set of normal clothes. Who would have thought that when she opened the suitcase, she would knit her brows? "What's wrong?" Mo Chuan noticed that something was wrong with her expression. "Cat, mint, mint." Chen Ning said word for word. This suitcase was placed in the corner and it was filled with normal clothes. It was for her to wear when she left the palace. But there was a strong catnip smell coming from the suitcase. After smelling it once, she would never forget it. I never thought that the princess wouldn't give up. Last time you didn't manage to harm me with the catnip, but this time you're using the same trick." Chen Ning gave a cold laugh and looked through the suitcase. She found that each set of clothes had catnip powder sprinkled on them. She walked over to the other suitcases and opened them one by one. When each suitcase was opened, the smell of catnip wafted out. It looked like Zhao Rong Junju hated her to the bone. No matter what she said, she wouldn't let her go. Catnip. Mo Chuan picked up a set of clothes and placed it in front of his nose to sniff it. Sure enough, there was a cool and refreshing smell that filled his nose. It was completely different from Qin Ning's sweet fragrance. His expression changed. Such a vicious girl. Her first plan didn't work, so she used a second plan. I shouldn't have let Zhui Feng let her go last time. This time, no matter what, I won't let her off. She used a vicious scheme to harm you, and these clothes are the best evidence. Also, it was about time to catch the spies she had planted in Guan Osprey Palace. She was becoming more and more daring, more and more savage. When the time comes, we will have both witnesses and material evidence. If I punish her, even Imperial Mother and Duke Ning will not be able to say anything. Chapter 1468. Only this time, the Zhao Rong princess did not hold back and ordered the spy to put catnip on all the clothes. No matter what Qin Ning wore, she would become the target of all the cats. Mo Chuan was filled with rage and prepared to call someone in, but Qin Ning shook her head. Mo Chuan, you don't need to interfere, just let her do what she wants. It's just some catnip powder, I naturally have a way to deal with it. She couldn't harm me the first time, but she didn't give up, so she tried again. Could it be that she can harm me this time? She clapped her hands and called Xiaoru over, having her bring in some catnip leaves. Catnip? Young miss, that bad princess wants to use catnip to harm you again. When Xiaoru entered the room, she smelled the scent of catnip. Seeing the open suitcases, her face changed color. It's just a small trick, it's not worth mentioning. Quickly bring the catnip leaves and follow the method I told you last time. Put the catnip powder on all the clothes in the suitcases. Yes, young miss. That bad princess is really bad, completely bad. She only made a fool of herself yesterday, it really was too easy for her. Xiaoru walked out while speaking in a hateful voice. Mo Chuan knit his brows and said in a puzzled voice, Ning, now that we have evidence and people, the evidence is conclusive. Zhao Rong harmed the Empress, so she cannot escape her crime. Why don't you let me punish her? Could it be that you want her to continue harming you? Qin Ning looked at him and said, witnesses and evidence. Even if we capture the spy she placed in the palace, will that be enough to testify against Zhao Rong Junju? Also, even if we do manage to catch the culprit and accuse Zhao Rong Junju, we can only accuse her of sprinkling some catnip powder on my clothes. This powder isn't poisonous. At that time, if she refuses to admit it, what can we do? If we make a big deal out of this, the Empress Dowager and Duke Ning will make an appearance, and the result will be left unsettled. Zhao Rong Junju dares to be so unscrupulous because she knows that we can't catch her. Even if we catch the person who placed the catnip powder, we can't do anything to her. Mo Chuan hatefully said, are we just going to let her act this way? Of course not. Qin Ning curled her lips into a smile and revealed a sly look in her eyes. Seeing her expression, Mo Chuan knew that she was ready to bite again. You little girl, have you already thought of a way to deal with her, His anger unknowingly disappeared and he even began to look forward to it. That's right. Mo Chuan, leave this matter to me. If she doesn't offend me, I won't offend her. If she offends me, I won't let her off easily. She giggled as she spoke, but her face showed that she didn't care. Chuan knew that with her intelligence, dealing with the princess would not be a problem. He didn't ask much and just nodded. Qin Ning chose a set of normal clothes and waited for Xiaoru to come in. She used the peppermint powder to get rid of the catnip smell and then put it on. Xiaoru, I'll have to trouble you today. Sprinkle peppermint powder on all the clothes in this suitcase, but don't let anyone know, understand? This servant understands. Young miss, you can be assured. This servant will definitely get rid of this smell, not leaving a single trace. Xiao Ru forcefully nodded and promised. Chapter 1469. Mo Chuan went to the royal study and she sat in a small blue silk sedan. She didn't need the royal guards to escort her, leaving the royal palace in a very low-key manner. She was very smart, knowing that the more people she moved, the more attention she would attract. With this kind of small sedan walking on the street, no one could guess that the person in the sedan had an illustrious status and was the current empress. Although Chu Xiaobai had left, Gu Qingze was still living in Dr. Zhang's palace. Since he didn't say he was leaving, Dr. Zhang naturally wanted it. The number one divine doctor in the world was living in his palace, which made him feel proud. He wanted him to stay like this, and it would be best if he never left. The pavilion closest to the water enjoys moonlight first. He was personally given a vacation by the emperor and didn't need to go to the doctor yard every day. Moreover, he could ask for medical advice from the number one divine doctor. This already made all the doctors in the yard red with envy, wishing they could be in a different place from him. Gu Qingze was not a person that was easy to get along with. If he wanted his medical advice, he had to wait until he was in a good mood. But Dr. Zhang was very smart. Gu Qingze had been living in his palace for a few days and he had already roughly understood Gu Qingze's likes and dislikes. For example, Gu Qingze liked peace and was extremely lazy. He liked to be served everywhere and he was too lazy to even open his mouth when it was cooked. So Dr. Zhang had specially picked a few clever and smart servants to serve him in the backyard. Even their appearances were quite handsome because Gu Qingze said that he didn't like ugly people. Seeing ugly people would ruin his appetite. Other than these servants, no one else was allowed to enter the backyard to avoid disturbing Gu Qingze's peace. He also had the kitchen make different dishes every day. Gu Qingze only needed to open his mouth to eat delicious food and drink good tea. This kind of treatment was even better than serving the emperor. Gu Qingze was finally embarrassed. So on this day, after he had a good meal of the dishes Dr. Zhang had people prepare, he ate the fresh fruits that were sent after the meal while casually speaking to the servant serving him. Go find the old man. I'm in a good mood today, so quickly ask him if he has any questions. I won't wait for him. The servant had already received Dr. Zhang's orders, so he quickly ran to the front yard to report to Dr. Zhang when he heard this. Dr. Zhang was filled with joy when he heard this. He didn't even put on his shoes as he ran to the backyard barefooted, arriving in front of Gu Qingze while gasping for breath. Divine Dr. Gu, I've heard that you're in a good mood today. Hey, I hope that seeing this old man's old face won't ruin your mood. He said with a smile. Gu Qingze rolled his eyes. Cut the crap. If you have any questions, hurry up and ask. Yes. Dr. Zhang finally believed the young servant's words. He had long accumulated a stomach full of medical problems, and at this time, like pouring beans out of a bamboo tube, he asked all of them in one go. Ask them one by one, Gu Qingze said impatiently. Yes. Dr. Zhang suppressed his excitement and slowly asked the first difficult medical question. Chapter 1470. Are there any other questions? If there aren't, I'm going to sleep. Gu Qingze rolled his eyes at Dr. Zhang again. Yes. Dr. Zhang quickly replied before asking a second question. Gu Qingze's mood wasn't bad, so he patiently answered one question after another. Dr. Zhang scratched his head as he listened, feeling overjoyed. There was no trace of the white beard fluttering in the air that he usually had in the doctor yard. He was a very knowledgeable person. Although he wasn't very smart, as long as he learned a bit, he would firmly remember it. The questions Gu Qingze answered were the obstacles he had encountered in his medical studies over the years. After overcoming these obstacles, his medical skills had greatly improved. He had always adhered to the principle of never too old to learn. Gu Qingze only wanted to give him a few pointers to repay him for his kindness in this period of time, but seeing Dr. Zhang's white hair and serious face when studying, as well as being respectful to him, Gu Qingze couldn't help feeling a bit of admiration for him. A person who was still diligently studying at this age was worthy of respect. So he did not hide anything and could be said to be teaching everything he knew. Of the two of them, one was focused on teaching and the other was focused on learning. No one noticed when Chen Ning appeared. Chen Ning silently entered the room. Seeing one teaching and one studying, her heart filled with emotions. She didn't make a sound and just silently stood there, listening to them. Although she had taken Gu Qingze as her master, there had been a lot of things happening in this period of time. Gu Qingze didn't have time to teach her any medical skills, so she couldn't even reach the beginner level of medical skills. Dr. Zhang's questions were all the problems he had encountered over the years and she couldn't understand them, but that didn't hinder her memory. Especially Gu Qingze's answers, she remembered them all in her heart. She knew that she would encounter similar problems in the future. Time silently passed and the afterglow of the setting sun unknowingly filled the room. Suddenly, a gulyalu sound rang out, which interrupted the three people who were completely immersed in studying. Dr. Zhang rubbed his stomach in embarrassment and began to laugh. "I'm truly sorry, this old man only cared about the divine doctor's advice and forgot about the time. Divine doctor, you must be hungry, this old man will immediately send someone to prepare some food." He finally remembered that he had been bothering Gu Qingze. Not only had they not eaten breakfast, they had even forgotten to eat lunch. It was no wonder his stomach was growling from hunger. Gu Qingze was indeed a little hungry. He nodded and looked up to find Chen Ning standing quietly in the corner of the door. "Little girl Chen, why are you here? When did you come and why didn't you say anything?" "I came to find Master for something. Seeing how serious you are, I didn't want to disturb you, so I came to listen to Master's teachings." Chen Ning replied with a faint smile as she slowly walked forward. Dr. Zhang quickly bowed down, "Greetings to the Empress." "Dr. Zhang, there's no need to be so polite." Chen Ning raised her hand and stopped him from bowing. "The Empress hasn't eaten dinner yet, right? If you don't mind the poor quality of this minister's home's food, can you stay and eat with the ancient divine doctor?" Dr. Zhang stood up and respectfully asked. Chapter 1471. Dr. Zhang knew that she had something important to discuss with Gu Qingze, so he left. He told everyone in the yard to stay far away and not eavesdrop on them. Chen Ning picked up the teapot and poured a cup of tea for Gu Qingze. "Master has been talking for an entire afternoon. Are you thirsty? Please have some tea." Although the tea was cold, it was still fragrant. Gu Qingze took it and drank it all in one gulp. Then he looked at Chen Ning and said, "You've never come without a reason. Say it, what did you come to see me for this time? Who do you want me to see in the palace, Chen Ning gave a laugh. "Master, you're becoming smarter and smarter. I did come to see Master for something, but it's not to cure a disease." "Oh, then what is it?" When Gu Qingze heard that it wasn't to cure a disease, his eyes revealed a glow of interest. Chen Ning did not reply. She walked in front of the window and opened it, looking out. She saw that the yard was completely silent and there was not a single person in sight. She couldn't help secretly praising Dr. Zhang's eyesight, sending away all the servants. But although she couldn't see anyone, she knew that Imo Chuan had sent secret guards to protect her in a corner. She raised her voice and said word for word to the empty window, "I have something very important to say to my master and I don't want anyone to hear it. If anyone hears it, the emperor and I will be very, very unhappy." She believed that after the secret guards heard it, they would run far away. This was because there was no secret guard that would dare to make the Emperor and Empress unhappy. Gu Qingze did not say anything, but the interest in his eyes became even stronger. This was because he knew that since Chen Ning said this, it meant that the matter she wanted to tell him was very, very confidential. What kind of confidential matter was it? Chen Ning closed the window and walked beside Gu Qingze. She took out the thin as cicada's wing cloth and placed it in front of Gu Qingze. "Master, take a look at this." Gu Qingze took it and glanced at it. His eyebrows twitched. He blurted out, "This is Qi Yenyu's writing, where did you get it from?" Qi Yenyu. He also came to West Chu. Chen Ning thought that it was as she expected, this really was Qi Yenyu's. She shook her head and said, "I don't know who Qi Yenyu is, this is the thing the Northern Qi envoy gave me as a gift. It was hidden in a silver phoenix hairpin, this is it." She took the phoenix hairpin from her hair and gave it to Gu Qingze. Gu Qingze's eyes lit up. He held it in his hand and carefully examined it. He clicked his tongue in praise. "As expected, it's incomparably exquisite. I didn't think that Qi Yenyu would actually know how to make this kind of women's jewelry. Humph, useless." After he finished speaking, he threw the silver hairpin back to Chen Ning with a look of disdain on his face once again. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile and put the silver hairpin back in her hair. She had long noticed that every time Qi Yenyu was mentioned, Gu Qingze's expression would turn ugly. The forging technique of this silver hairpin had clearly amazed Gu Qingze, but he would only praise it once before he began to criticize it. This is the method to make the snow silk robe. Shen girl, this is Qi Yenyu's secret. What is your relationship with that guy surnamed Qi? Chapter 1472. Chen Ning knit her brows. "Master, you're hurting me." Her wrist was in pain from Gu Qingze's grip. She never thought that Gu Qingze, who looked so thin and weak, would have such a strong grip. Speak. Were you sent by that fellow surnamed Qi?" Not only did Gu Qingze not let go, he used even more strength. His eyes were sharp and his expression was fierce. He stared at Chen Ning like she had killed his father. Chen Ning muttered in her heart. It seemed like Gu Qingze and Qi Yenyu were not good friends, but rather enemies. Otherwise, why would he look like he wanted to eat her alive? "Master, you've misunderstood." "Master, you misunderstand. I don't know Qi Yenyu at all. The first time I heard of his name, it was you who told me. How could I have anything to do with him? As I told you earlier, this was a parting gift from the Northern Qi emissary. I didn't think that the silver hairpin would have another mechanism, and that it would contain such a blueprint," she explained calmly. The fierce light in Gu Qingze's eyes slowly disappeared. He let go of her wrist and nodded. "It's my fault, I wronged you." He found that he had used too much strength and left 2 black marks on her white as jade wrist. He couldn't help feeling a bit guilty as he took out a medicine box and threw it to her. "Put some ointment on it and it'll immediately go away." Chen Ning applied the ointment while muttering, "Such a rough master," making a move without saying a word. "It seems like I'll have to suffer in the future." Gu Qingze stared at her and said, "What are you mumbling about?" "I'm saying that I found a rare master in the heavens and everyone is envious of me." Chen Ning loudly said. "Humph, stop trying to flatter me." Gu Qingze stared at her again. "Master, why do you suddenly become so fierce when you mention that Qi Yenyu? You don't know how scary you looked just now. You were like a man-eating beast." Chen Ning asked with a smile. Gu Qingze gave a snort. "It's none of your business. If you mention Qi Yenyu again, your master will throw you out." Chen Ning stuck out her tongue. Seeing Gu Qingze's livid face, she knew that he was in a bad mood. She didn't dare ask any more. If she kept asking, he might not even tell her about the snow silk clothing. She cleverly changed the topic. Master, you're this smart, you must be able to understand how to make this snow silk clothing, right? Sure enough, flattery would not work. Her words immediately made Guqing's mood improve greatly. His originally stiff face revealed a trace of pride. Of course your master can understand. Chen Ning's heart filled with joy. Her eyes turned and she pointed at the map on the silk and said, Master, do you know where this place is? Look here, there's a crooked worm. What's so strange about that? Your disciple is stupid, please give me some pointers. Guqingzi said without any hesitation, you really are stupid, you can't even see this. This is the map. This crooked insect is the cold silkworm that lives on the snowy peaks. The so-called snow silk clothing is mainly made from the silk spat out by the cold silkworm. This map shows where the cold silkworm appears, and as long as you follow the directions on the map, you can find the cold silkworm. Chapter 1473. Alright, you little girl, you've learned to trick your master. You don't understand the map. Who are you trying to trick? Guqingzi angrily threw the thin silk into Chen Ning's arms and turned around, ignoring her. Chen Ning giggled, Master, how could I dare trick you? I really don't understand it. I've never been to Northern Qi, so how would I know what place is on this map? So this is the snowy peak. It's all thanks to your guidance. Guqingzi still turned around and gave a snort. Now that you have the method to make the snow silk clothing, your master's snow silk clothing is not important anymore. Give it back to me. He angrily said. Chen Ning couldn't help smiling as she said, Master, your words are unreasonable. Unreasonable? How is your master unreasonable? Guqingzi couldn't help turning his body and looking at her. Chen Ning smiled and said, Didn't you give the snow silk clothing to the Zhao Rong princess? My snow silk clothing was exchanged with the recipe from the Zhao Rong princess. If master is unwilling to give something away, you can find the Zhao Rong princess to bring it back. Guqingzi was choked by her until he couldn't say anything. Although he knew she was being unreasonable, he couldn't refute her. This was because the snow silk clothing was not something he had personally given to her. Alright, you haven't learned anything else, but you've learned to contradict your master. Guqingzi angrily said. Master, don't be angry. If you want the snow silk clothing, that's easy. Don't we have the method to make it? As long as I follow the map to the snowy peak and find the frost silkworm, I'll personally make 8 or 10 snow silk clothing to show my respect to you. What do you say? She giggled as she spoke. Make 8 or 10. Is it that easy? Do you think you can go up the snowy peak of Northern Qi just because you want to? With your mediocre martial arts, you won't even be able to touch the edge of the snowy peak before you freeze to death. Also, even if you can find the frost silkworm, can you make the snow silk clothing? Even if you understand the method to make it, do you know how to weave the snow silk clothing? Guqingzi's questions came one after another. Chen Ning was dumbfounded and couldn't answer. However, she quickly smiled and said, Master, I indeed don't understand, but Master, you do. I don't know how to weave, but Master can teach me. Otherwise, wouldn't I have taken you as my master for nothing? Guqingzi almost laughed from being angered by her. He turned around and stared at her. He could not think that there would be such a shameless girl in this world. She was not the Empress of a country. You mean, if I don't teach you how to weave this snow silkworm cloth, you won't take me as your master, is that right? Guqingzi's eyebrows slanted and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Chen Ning stuck out her tongue and said with a smile, This is what Master said, I didn't say anything. I only know that a teacher for a day is a teacher for a lifetime. Unless Master doesn't want me anymore and kicks me out of the sect, you will be my, Chen Ning's, master for a lifetime. I didn't say anything. I only know that a teacher for a day is a teacher for life. Unless master doesn't want me anymore and kicks me out, you will be my master for life. He raised his chin. His tone and expression were very proud. He snorted and said, "Little girl, you have a conscience. As long as you help me win the competition, I will teach you whatever you want to learn. This snow silkworm cloth is nothing, I have even more powerful things to teach you." He raised his chin, his tone and expression were very arrogant. Chapter 1474. When Gu Qingze mentioned it, she remembered. That's right, Gu Qingze did mention this matter to her. He wanted her to properly study medicine and help him win the competition, but he did not reveal a single word about the details of the competition. "Master, don't worry, I will definitely study medicine well. No matter what competition it is, I will not lose. I will not lose Master's face," she firmly said. Gu Qingze revealed a rare smile on his face. He turned around and nodded at her. "With your intelligence, it won't be hard for you to win. It's just that you don't have much time, you only have 1 year and you have a lot of things to learn. I want you to come with me to the Miracle Physician Valley because that place is far away from the secular world. There, you can focus on your studies without any distractions and there won't be anything to distract you. If it was in the capital city, look at what you've learned from me these past few days." Chen Ning blushed with shame. She finally understood why Gu Qingze wanted to bring her to the Miracle Physician Valley and not stay in the capital city. He wanted her to clear her mind so she could focus on her studies. He wasn't wrong. If she stayed in the capital city, she would have to deal with all sorts of things every day. How could she calm her heart and study medicine well? Master's teachings are correct, it was my fault. Too many things have happened these past few days. In 3 days, I'll go with you to the Miracle Physician Valley," she said with determination. "Your emperor husband has agreed." Gu Qingze glanced at her. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile and nodded. Gu Qingze was a bit surprised. He rubbed his chin and did not ask for the reason. As long as she was willing to go with him to the Miracle Physician Valley, he did not care about anything else. Chen Ning's eyes turned and fell onto a large red invitation card on the table. She let out an "eeth" sound. "Master, did someone invite you to be a guest?" Gu Qingze nodded. He pointed his chin at the invitation card and said, "Why don't you guess who sent this invitation?" Chen Ning smiled and said, "Isn't Master making things difficult for me? This is like looking for a needle in a haystack, how could I guess?" Gu Qingze softly said, "You're so smart, what can't you guess?" Chen Ning giggled, "Master, you shocked everyone at the palace banquet yesterday. Who doesn't respect Master's miraculous medical skills? There are a lot of people trying to curry favor with you. You should be tired from receiving so many invitations, right? You're asking me who sent this invitation, shouldn't you at least give me a hint?" "All right, then I'll give you a hint." Gu Qingze's eyes flashed. He looked at the tightly shut window on the opposite side, but didn't say anything. Chen Ning followed his gaze and revealed a thoughtful expression. She suddenly clapped her hands and said with a smile, "Ah, I guessed it. This invitation must have been sent by Duke Ning's palace, right?" Gu Qingze looked at her with a surprised expression. "How did you guess?" He wanted to make things difficult for her, but he never thought that she would actually guess it. Chen Ning smiled and said, "Isn't there a large locust tree in the yard outside the window?" Chen Ning smiled and said, "Isn't there a large locust tree in the courtyard outside the window?" Gu Qingze laughed involuntarily and said, "Master really didn't misjudge you. You're smart and quick-witted. You're indeed a good seedling to study medicine." He then said, "Since you're this smart, why don't you guess why Duke Ning invited me into the palace?" Chapter 1475. He must have used the fake prescription that I gave to his daughter and suffered a lot. That's why he wants to ask Master to come over and treat him. Not bad, you're smart. Gu Qingze clapped his hands together and praised. Then why don't you make another guess? Will Master be willing to cure him? He looked at her with a smile that wasn't a smile. Chen Ning pondered for a moment and said, this is hard to guess. Master's heart is like a needle at the bottom of the sea, only I can't guess it. However, I think Master will invite him to the palace. As for curing him or not, that will depend on Master's mood. Gu Qingze couldn't help revealing a look of surprise. Girl, your guess is quite accurate. That's right, Master has already agreed. I will go to Duke Ning's palace in a bit and see this Sir Duke. Chen Ning revealed a faint smile without saying a word. There was something she wanted to ask, but she didn't say it. She had already found out that Gu Qingze had come to the capital city this time. Although it was for her, he had his own goals. For example, his attitude towards Duke Ning was very strange. Otherwise, with his personality, it was better to avoid trouble. For example, if Duke Ning sent an invitation, he wouldn't even give it a second glance. Master, are you going to Duke Ning's palace? Hearing Gu Qingze's words, Chen Ning's heart skipped a beat and she thought of something. That's right. Do you want to come with me? Chen Ning shook her head and said, it's already late. I promised Imo Chuan that I would return to the palace before it gets dark. I have a small matter that I want Master to help me with. What matter? Her eyes revealed a crafty look as she said in a low voice, I have something. Can Master think of a way to make that Princess Xiao Rong drink it? Gu Qingze immediately understood after hearing this, you little girl, what bad idea did you come up with this time? Chen Ning said with a faint smile, what? Only Master can tease her, but I can't give her a small gift. Tell me, what kind of small gift is it? If it's interesting, Master will help you with it. Gu Qingze revealed an excited expression. He was not a person who wanted to stir up trouble, but for some reason, once he heard that she wanted to tease the Princess Xiao Rong, he was filled with interest. Chen Ning smiled and said, does Master remember that I gave the princess a gift at yesterday's banquet? Gu Qingze nodded and said, that was a bottle of honey perfume. Only it was fragrant, it wasn't that precious. Master, do you know that if this honey perfume is mixed with something else, it will produce a strange fragrance? This fragrance is what bees like the most. Chen Ning told Gu Qingze about how Chen Baiyun wanted to use honey perfume to attract bees to her. Gu Qingze asked with curiosity, Chen Baiyun. Chen said, Chen, Gu Gu, Chen Gu Ling pill. Chen Ning took out the bag of powder from her chest and placed it in Gu Qingze's hands. Gu Qingze opened it and sniffed it. He nodded and said, I understand now. This is the pollen of the Simipulum lotus. It's nothing special on its own, only having a light and refreshing smell. However, it's the favorite of the bees. If you take the pollen of the Simipulum lotus, coupled with your honey fragrance, Zhao Chen, he, of he the princess will be. Chapter 1476. Master, are you going to help me or not? Gu Qingze raised his hand and scattered the half-lotus powder on the ground. He gave a snort and said, this kind of unpresentable thing, your master really doesn't want to make a move. Chen Ning stared at the powder on the ground. She bit her lips and stomped her foot, Master. What are you in such a rush for? Your master won't make a move. Since your master has to make a move, naturally you have to use your master's things. You have to use first-class things. Gu Qingze's lips curled into a faint smile. Chen Ning was surprised and happy. She pursed her lips into a smile and said, so master you have first-class things on you, so naturally you don't care about this unpresentable half-lotus powder. Master, what good things do you have? Can you show this disciple's eyes? Gu Qingze said, all right, your master will teach you a lesson first. He took out a small bottle from the box on the armrest of his chair. Shaking it, he said, this is a bottle of insect luring powder. The powder inside has the taste that many insects like, including bees, butterflies, ants, earthworms, spiders, geckos, cockroaches, toads. He said the names of several insects in one breath. Chen Ning shivered when she heard this and her body went numb. Gu Qingze then said, Humph, that cheap princess wants to harm my disciple, so your master will let her have a taste of the powder in this bottle and give her a taste of her own medicine. I guarantee that the girl who harmed you won't be able to live and won't be able to die even if she wants to. Chen Ning giggled, disciple thanks master. Sure enough, the older the ginger, the spicier it is. Master's move is much more powerful than your disciple's original plan. She thought that she never would have thought that her master would be this black-bellied. When it came to scheming, he was 10 times more ruthless than her. Zhao Rong princess was going to suffer this time. You can go back to the palace first. Your master will go to the Duke Ning Palace now and there will be good news coming to your ears soon. Don't forget, you still have 2 days. If you don't have anything to do in these 2 days, don't leave the palace. Stay in the palace and love your emperor husband. Gu Qingze said this without any expression. He turned his wheelchair and left without looking back. Chen Ning looked at Gu Qingze's back in a daze and her heart filled with warmth. She could deeply feel the care and love this master had for her. Divine Dr. Gu, you're leaving. This old man has already ordered them to prepare a sumptuous dinner and was about to invite the Empress to eat with you. Dr. Zhang's voice came from outside the door. He knew that Chen Ning and Gu Qingze had something important to say, so he didn't dare disturb them. Now that he saw the divine Dr. Gu about to leave, he quickly came forward in concern. During this period of dinner, he had the kitchen put in a lot of effort. Today, Gu Qingze had helped him answer the difficult questions that had been weighing on his heart for many years. He was suddenly enlightened and could be said to be extremely grateful towards Gu Qingze. He thought to himself that there was nothing he could do to repay Gu Qingze. He could only take advantage of the few days that Gu Qingze was staying in his food to properly entertain him and repay him. My disciple and I have things to do. To Zhang not to eat, not to eat. Not, Gu Qingze said. Gu, and I, Ning to Ning, I, and there was already a carriage sent by Duke Ning public house waiting at the entrance. Chapter 1477. Duke Ning Residence. Hearing that Gu Qingze was about to arrive, Duke Ning was so excited that he couldn't sit still in his chair. He paced around the room, rubbing his hands and looking out of the hall from time to time, giving orders. Quickly go and take a look. Why isn't Divine Dr. Gu here yet? Did something happen on the way here? The servants agreed and hurriedly ran out of the door, muttering in their hearts, I've never seen Duke so anxious. In just a short while, he has already sent 7 or 8 groups of people to inquire about the news. What kind of person is this Divine Dr. Gu? What kind of background does he have that Duke Ning values him so much? Divine Dr. Gu is here. Divine Dr. Gu is here. The servants guarding the gate finally saw the magnificent carriage that had just turned the corner. It was the carriage that Duke Ning had sent to greet Gu Qingze. The large red lantern hanging in front of the carriage clearly had the 4 large words, Duke Ning Fu, written on it. The servants quickly ran into the residence to report the news to Duke Ning. Duke Ning was surprised and happy, but his heart was in a mess. He asked, did you really see it clearly? Is Divine Dr. Gu really in the carriage? That carriage wouldn't be empty, right? He was still worried about his personal gains and losses. The servants were stunned and couldn't answer. They only saw the carriage and their residence from afar and didn't notice if there was anyone in the carriage. Useless things, all of you are useless. Quickly go and find out. Duke Ning was so angry that he raised his leg and kicked one of the servants, causing him to tumble and crawl on the ground. After a while, the servant hurriedly rushed in. Duke Ning, this servant saw it clearly. Divine Dr. Gu is in the carriage. Hearing this, Duke Ning immediately jumped up from his chair and walked out in a few steps. Quickly, everyone follow me to welcome Divine Dr. Gu. If anyone is negligent, I won't forgive him. He brought a group of servants to the door. At this time, Gu Qing's carriage hadn't reached the residence yet. The commoners in the distance saw this scene and were amazed. What kind of important person was sitting in the carriage? Duke Ning actually came out to welcome him personally. Could it be that the person in the carriage was the emperor? After a while, the carriage slowly stopped. A few servants moved Gu Qingze and his chair down from the carriage. The chair was extremely heavy. The servants' faces and necks were red from holding it in. Gu Qingze sat in the chair and saw Duke Ning waiting outside. His butt didn't even leave the chair. He just bowed slightly and nodded to Duke Ning. Thank you for waiting, Duke Ning, he said indifferently. His carefree manner made everyone suck in a breath of cold air. Who was this young man? How could he be so arrogant and rude in front of Duke Ning? When he saw Duke Ning, not only did he not bow, but his butt seemed to be glued to the chair, not moving at all. Looking at his coarse hemp clothes, he was obviously a commoner and not the current emperor. Even the servants of Duke Ning's public house were secretly sulking. This ancient divine doctor really thought that he was a deity from the heavens. He actually dared to be so rude to the duke. One had to know that even the prime minister, who held the highest position in the imperial court, had to be respectful and careful in front of the duke, not daring to show the slightest bit of disrespect. Chapter 1478. Not only was Duke Ning not angry, but his face was full of smiles. His originally cold and expressionless face was smiling like a flower. What are you saying, Divine Dr. Gu? This duke did not wait for long. Moreover, as long as I can see Divine Dr. Gu, this duke will be honored to wait for 3 days and 3 nights. As soon as his humble words came out, everyone's jaws dropped in shock. Did they hear it wrong? What did Duke Ning say? Even in front of the emperor, Duke Ning was not so polite and humble. Could it be that this young man's background was greater than the emperor's? Everyone stared unblinkingly at Gu Qingze, wanting to see if he had 3 heads or 6 arms. Who knew that no matter how they looked, he was just an ordinary young man. His appearance was not shocking, and there was nothing special about him. Who knew that what happened next not only made their jaws drop to the ground, but even their eyeballs popped out. Divine Dr. Gu's presence brings light to this duke's house. Divine Dr. Gu, this duke has already prepared good wine and delicacies. We are just waiting for you to enter the house. Come, let this duke push you into the house. Duke Ning walked behind Gu Qingze and personally pushed the wheelchair towards the gate of the house. Gu Qingze didn't refuse. He just sat in the chair and let Duke Ning express his goodwill to him. Duke Ning had a smile on his face, as if it was an honor to help Gu Qingze push the chair. With this, not only were the servants of Duke Ning's house dumbfounded, but even the common people who were watching became clay sculptures. Even when the gate of Duke Ning's house closed with a bang, and the situation inside the house could no longer be seen, everyone was still in a daze for a long time. The fine wine and delicacies prepared by Duke Ning were in no way inferior to the palace banquet held at the Anqing Palace Hall yesterday. In fact, they were even better. However, in such a large banquet, Gu Qingze was the only guest. He sat alone in the seat of honor, which made his status even more noble. Duke Ning sat next to him and personally helped him with the dishes and wine. This made the servants at the side look at each other in dismay, not knowing what to do. The High Duke had actually snatched their jobs. What should they do? Come, Divine Dr. Gu. This dish is called Return to the Phoenix's Nest. It was made by the most famous restaurant in the capital. In order to welcome the Divine Dr. Gu, this duke has specially invited their chef to the house to make this famous dish for the Divine Dr. Gu. This is a delicacy that can't be found anywhere else, you must try it. Duke Ning enthusiastically introduced the dishes on the table to Gu Qingze. For this banquet, he had put in a lot of effort. Even the 4 dishes that Qin Ning left in the ancient tower had been brought over by him. However, he could never have imagined that these 4 dishes that everyone praised were actually the creations of the person he hated to the bone. Gu Qingze's expression was indifferent. He didn't even look at the small piece of phoenix nest burrito that Duke Ning handed over, causing Duke Ning to feel slightly embarrassed. It doesn't matter. Divine Doctor, please try this dish. This dish is called a phoenix's egg. Look, this orange red, and light yellow, doesn't it look like a young phoenix curled up in an egg? Not only is this dish beautiful, the taste is even better. Chapter 1479. The phoenix egg emitted a strange fragrance. Gu Qingze wasn't a glutton, but when he smelled this fragrance, he suddenly felt hungry. His gaze couldn't help but land on the phoenix egg. He discovered that it was just as Duke Ning said. The strange and unique shape really did look like a young phoenix, and the taste. He picked up a small piece of the phoenix egg and sent it into his mouth. After chewing a few times, he felt a fresh fragrance filling his mouth. It was truly a delicacy he had never eaten in his life. As soon as he tasted it, he began to eat continuously with his chopsticks, eating happily. What does Divine Physician Gu think about the taste of this phoenix egg? Seeing Gu Qingze happily eating, Duke Ning's smile deepened. He had a proud expression, as if he was the one who made this phoenix egg. Not bad. Gu Qingze only said 2 words before he continued to gorge himself on his food. He even rolled his eyes at Duke Ning, looking like he disliked Duke Ning for talking to him and disturbing his mood of eating. Duke Ning smiled and personally scooped a bowl of sweet soup and sent it in front of Gu Qingze. This soup is called a snow-seeking plum blossom. Not only does it look good, it also sounds good. How can this soup sound good? Gu Qingze was startled. He put down his chopsticks and sized up the sweet soup in front of him. In the bowl of soup that was as clear as water, there were snow-white osmanthus petals floating. A dozen or so dark red cherries were floating inside. The red and white were clear and bright. Just looking at this color would make one's eyes light up. He scooped up a cherry and sent it into his mouth. When he bit down lightly, he heard a crisp sound. The sweetness of the cherry, the clarity of the soup, and the coolness of the rock candy were all in his mouth. No wonder it's called snow-seeking plum blossom. This name is good, and this soup is also good. Gu Qingze couldn't help but praise. Divine Physician Gu, if you think it's delicious, then eat more, eat more. Duke Ning was already smiling like a flower, extremely proud of himself. Gu Qingze picked up the rolled-up phoenix nest biscuit. Originally, he wasn't interested in this biscuit, but after tasting the phoenix egg and snow-seeking plum blossom, he began to feel that this biscuit was definitely not as ordinary as it looked. As expected, when he bit down, a strange expression appeared on his face, causing Duke Ning's heart to beat rapidly. Divine Physician Gu, this phoenix nest does not taste good? He asked with some trepidation. At the same time, he cursed the chef who made this dish in his heart. If Divine Physician Gu was not satisfied with this phoenix nest, he would skin the chef alive. Gu Qingze didn't answer. He closed his eyes and slowly chewed. He had never eaten food with such a special taste in his life. It could be said to be, one of a kind, one of a kind. Every time he chewed, there would be a different taste in his mouth. There was a fragrance in the crispness, the sweetness of the wine, and the fragrance of the sauce and the cucumber. It was really clear but not greasy. There was sweetness in the crispness and sweetness in the sweetness. Such a wonderful taste made him reluctant to swallow it for a moment. Great taste. Among all the dishes on the table, this phoenix nest tastes the best. Gu Qingzi swallowed the food in his mouth. With his extremely lazy temperament, he actually couldn't wait for someone to wrap a roll for him. He imitated Duke Ning's actions just now, quickly wrapping another small roll and sending it into his mouth. Before he could even swallow it, he had already wrapped another roll with his extremely fast hands. Chapter 1480. Gu Qingzi wiped his mouth and leaned back in his chair in satisfaction. He picked up the bowl of treading on snow plums and slowly tasted it. The food made by the chef that Duke Ning invited is really delicious. I wasn't paying attention and actually forgot to leave a few pieces of phoenix skin for Duke Ning. I'm really sorry. Although he said he was sorry, there was no trace of embarrassment on his face at all. The servants at the side saw this and silently ridiculed him in their hearts. Where did Duke Ning invite this country bumpkin from? When he ate, it was as if he was the reincarnation of a hungry ghost. He hadn't eaten in several lifetimes. The return to the phoenix's nest that everyone coveted was completely eaten by him. He didn't even leave a single piece of chicken skin for Duke Ning. Duke Ning's face didn't show any anger at all. The more he smiled, the happier he was. It was as if he was happier that the return to the phoenix's nest fell into Gu Qingzi's stomach than him eating it. A mere phoenix's nest is nothing. As long as Divine Dr. Gu likes it, I will give the chef who made this dish to Divine Dr. Gu. Whenever Divine Dr. Gu wants to eat it, just tell him to make it. He said very generously. Gu Qingzi shook his head and refused. I'm just a country bumpkin. I can't afford to raise such a noble chef. To be able to receive Duke Ning's hospitality and eat such delicious food once is enough. I can't afford too many blessings. The banquet that Duke Ning prepared could be said to be extremely sumptuous. However, he only ate 2 dishes and drank a bowl of soup. He wasn't the least bit interested in the other dishes. He couldn't say why, but when he ate the 2 dishes and the soup, he actually thought of his strange little disciple. These dishes with special tastes and ingenious thoughts were similar to his little disciple's. She would definitely like the taste of these dishes. He changed his mind and said, speaking of which, I still have to stay in the capital city for 2 to 3 days. It's good to be able to enjoy 2 to 3 days of good food. When I return to Miracle Physician Valley, I won't be able to eat such delicious food. How could Duke Ning not understand what he meant? He immediately replied with a smile, that's very easy. When Divine Dr. Gu returns, I will let this chef go with you. Gu Qingzi nodded and said casually, thank you for your hospitality. I have eaten and drank to my heart's content. I will take my leave now. After he finished, he shook his chair and walked out of the hall. This. Duke Ning was instantly dumbfounded. As he watched Gu Qingzi walk further and further away, he almost vomited blood. What did this kid mean? Now that he's full, he's going to leave. But he didn't even have the chance to say it. Divine Dr. Gu. Divine Dr. Gu, please wait. When Duke Ning saw that Gu Qingzi's chair had already left the entrance of the hall, he couldn't care less about his status and hurriedly chased after him. He smiled and blocked Gu Qingzi's path. Qingzi, Duke said. Didn't you invite me to drink and attend the banquet? I've already drunk the wine and eaten the dishes, so it's time for me to take my leave. Gu Qingze raised his eyebrows and looked at Duke Ning, pretending to be confused. Chapter 1481. Treasure. What kind of treasure is it? Why don't you take it out and take a look? Gu Qingze leaned back in his chair without much interest. About this treasure is very precious. It's inconvenient for me to take it out and show it to others. Please follow me to the secret room to take a look. I guarantee that after you see this treasure, you won't regret it. Duke Ning said with a face full of smiles. Oh. There's such a treasure in the world. Gu Qingze muttered to himself and finally nodded his head. All right, then I'll follow Duke to take a look. Duke Ning was overjoyed and said, Divine Doctor, this way please. He led Gu Qingze to the back, passed through the hall, and arrived at a side hall. After entering the hall, he sent everyone out and closed the door tightly. When Gu Qingze saw the mysterious expression on his face, his expression didn't change. He sat in his chair and quietly observed the situation. Duke Ning walked to a door at the back of the hall, but he didn't push the door. Instead, he pushed the wall at the side. With a soft squeak, the wall actually slowly opened to two sides, revealing a secret door. Inside the door, there was a glow of candlelight. Divine Dr. Gu, please enter. Other than me, you're the first guest to enter this secret room. Duke Ning extended his hand and led the way. Gu Qingze was secretly vigilant, but he wasn't afraid. He shook the chair and slowly slid into the secret room. As soon as he entered the secret room, the secret door behind him started to close. He heard the sound, but he didn't even turn back to look. This secret room was very spacious. The four walls of the room were lit with eternal lamps, illuminating the whole secret room like it was daytime. However, the four walls were bleak, like a square box, and this box was empty. Duke, where's the treasure you want me to see? Why don't I see anything? Don't tell me that the treasure that Duke is talking about is you. Gu Qingze's gaze swept across the surroundings, and he let out a cold laugh. Duke Ning said with a smile, Divine Dr. Gu must be joking. You'll be able to see such a treasure soon. He clapped his palms together, and then, the sound of a pipa rang out. The sound was clear and melodious, like water hitting a stone. It was very pleasant to listen to. Along with the music of the pipa, the veil in the corner of the secret chamber slowly rose, as if a light breeze had blown past. Then, a slim figure dressed in red with a veil over her face flew out from behind the veil. Her movements were graceful, and she held the pipa in her right hand, playing and dancing at the same time. Her red dress was like a thin veil, perfectly outlining her beautiful and exquisite figure. It was like a mist or an illusion, dazzling the eyes of the onlookers. Amidst the sound of the pipa and the dance, the girl in red suddenly turned her head around. The veil covering her face fell to the ground, and she smiled at Gu Qingze. Her eyes sparkled, and her radiant eyes shone. Gu Qingze immediately recognized that this red-clothed young woman who was holding a pipa and dancing gracefully was none other than Zhao Rongjunju. He sat in the chair and watched Zhao Rongjunju play the pipa and dance in front of him. She was extremely graceful, and his expression was calm and without the slightest change. Zhao Rongjunju danced close to him several times, and the red veil deliberately brushed past his face, bringing waves of fragrance to his face. However, Gu Qingze's expression remained indifferent. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.